Hey everyone, we will be live really shortly. I'm very sorry for the delay. I've just found out that I left my bag out when I was out earlier. So we're just resolving that. We'll be okay. I just need a couple more minutes because I was also doing some prep for the stream. So I know it's been live for 16 minutes already. It'll only be a couple more, and then we'll be live properly and we'll discuss everything. And I'm really looking forward to it. So stay tuned. No issue, no drama. Well, lots of drama as it happens. But I'll see you all in a couple minutes. Hello everyone. How are we doing? Are we having a good Sunday? Hello to Casey Explosion, always a treat and a treasure and a pleasure and a delight, not to mention an honor. Gumba Master, hello, hello. GMM1610, 64 Square Poet, B-Rat and Chaos Merlin, and Jim13, hey. Hi, Jim. Rob Arts and Barrow of Dirt and B-Rat I already said, but Radical Razor I did not, and I did hear the news about Dugan, and we will talk about that as well. And hello, hello, hello. Hello to Tordre. Hello to Kaya Muir. Tell me if I said that wrong. Welcome to the stream. Waluigi Fuck. Hello. Blue Flames 2020. Hello. Middle Earth Marxist. Always great to have you here. Kiri Magic, Gola from Below, Torn PS, hello. Hello, Forks Winchester, hello, Deadpan Drew, and Simply Sorries. I'm very sorry, I'm definitely mispronouncing that one. Please tell me how to say that one, I want to say that right. Hello to Punk Rock Puma, and Pat Peas, and Finn the Bin, and Liz Nene, and Lyra and Friends, RM Rico, Anarchist Laboratory Sean, Anarchist Laboratory, hello. I see you there. Hi. Sarah the Green Ranger, Hedge Winnery, welcome to the stream. Not this being my first stream because I desperately want to hear onions on all of this. Onions? Maybe you meant to say opinions. Hello to Faye Haven, Desi May, Cynthia Citrus, Meow Laurie, Failing Cookie, Moss Hill Meadows, Nora is Ho, Starlight Reverie. Nearly done. Done. That was everyone. Hooray! Welcome everyone. Welcome to the stream. It's me, Satanic Sophie, here representing Satanism and the Counter-Revolution, live from the COINTELPRO headquarters and ready to very, very gleefully dance and frolic at the demise of the greatest communist ever, Caleb Maupin. Let's all quickly stand and pay our respects to a real one, and definitely not a fake one. The only way that I think would be appropriate on this, the day of Caleb Maupin's Twitter being deleted. Sorry, he just cared so much about communism. I'm sorry, I'm just overwhelmed right now. He just cared so much about communism. Sorry, this is a souvenir I got from Yerevan that I brought back for Nat. It's a Consumol membership. Comes with a pin, actually, a little actual pin. Anyway, they sell a lot of Soviet memorabilia in Armenia. They have a lot of it in the former Soviet Union. Who'd have figured? So what's going on is, we're going to get into this. Caleb Maupin, conspiracy theorist, pseudo-communist fascist, and cult leader, has been exposed as such by members of his cult, and it looks like he's been booted out and finally just like called out on his shit by people who he can't kind of run from or paint as CIA assets, which is his immediate first take on this. I saw a tweet from him that was saying, I'm finally doing what I want to be doing with the CPI and speaking truth to power, and that's upsetting some people. And the people that he thought that he was trying to kind of dismiss in saying that were the 19-year-olds and 18-year-olds that he's been abusing, who were calling him out for his behavior. I would like to reflect briefly before we continue, before we get into all the news. I'd like to quickly reflect on the speech that Peter Coffin gave at the CPI, what was it, CPI Austin, CPI Dallas? Where Peter Coffin made a joke about cancel culture, where they listed in order Harvey Weinstein, Louis C.K., Caleb Maupin. Okay, and that's the only yucks to be had, and that's at Peter Coffin's expense. I want to be clear about this, that I do not want us to laugh and make light of people's abuse, because there are some people who are very seriously hurt. And also, just because those people are of a different socialist tendency than me, just because they're probably, I know in many cases that there are people who think I'm a satanic CIA agent because they're still very much in the same conspiracy circle anyway, and they've seen my video about Caleb Maupin and about the conspiracy on the left, check it out if you hadn't. And they, even though they might be people who hate my guts, they've been harmed seriously, and that harm is real and not to be made light of. That's not to say there will be no making light of Caleb Maupin. It's just that I don't want people to overlook that people have been seriously hurt, and I don't want to, I especially don't want to laugh at people's harm. That's just not okay. So, right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about specifically Caleb Maupin's former comrades speak out. His abuses must stop. Ugh. ThoughtSlime made a couple of videos about him. He is an odd Hang on a second. No, I need to go back to the chat for a second here. Someone in chat has said, I don't think I've ever actually heard of Maupin spit the hot goss, and I can do that, that's fine. It's fine if you're here and you haven't heard of Caleb Maupin. Hopefully you won't need to again. But someone else has replied. ThoughtSlime made a couple videos about him. He is an odd person. I worked for 18 months on the conspiracy on the... I worked... Come on! Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. Here's what I'm gonna do real quick. I'm just gonna drop my link in chat. If anyone is here in the Sophie stream and hasn't seen my extensive, I guess, documentary about the conspiracy left, check it out. In the meantime, for specifically Fayehaven, who hasn't heard of Caleb Maupin before, very quickly, Caleb Maupin is an extremely embarrassing fake communist. He's a conspiracy theorist, he's a cult leader, and he's been trying to insist that all of BreadTube are funded by the CIA and trying to get him killed. Because some on BreadTube pointed out that he's extremely cringe and not a real communist. I mean, that's basically it. I don't know. I don't know what to say more than that, really. There is a saga of videos you can go catch up with if you... I think Fake Communist is still giving him too much credit. I said conspiracy theorist and cult leader! Okay. There's a whole saga of videos you can go watch about Caleb Maupin if you want to know about Caleb Maupin. Today, after a long back and forth of me covering his conspiracy theory gibberish, us laughing at his weird cult event, that's me and Mildred from ThoughtSlime, and, you know, basically, generally speaking, him and his comrades calling me a satanic CIA agent and demonic and the spawn of Satan and the daughter of a Satan-worshipping cult or something. Finally, stuff that I knew, because it's just in the fucking vibe, but obviously couldn't say at any earlier point, because it's like you can't just say stuff. Has finally come to light. Other context that might be useful to some people before we begin. Caleb Maupin is or has been associated with a thing called the CPI, the Center for Political Innovation, which is a think tank and is basically just the vehicle for worship of Caleb Maupin, and yeah. There is also a part of the CPI or a conjoined organization called the John Brown Volunteers. Take note of volunteers, that will be relevant, who do canvassing to improve to get more people invested in Caleb Maupin's ideology, patriotic American socialism. Yeah. the sort of second in command at the John Brown Volunteers for I don't know how long. I don't really know the timeline completely. Is someone called Keaton Mansfield, who's very young. He's a Southern boy. He's a trad calf. There's also someone who helped to found the CPI called Lily Goldklang. She's a trans woman, also very young. And oh shit, I have to take a call really quick. Fuck. Bad timing. What have I done? Okay, I'm just gonna pause. Sorry about this, everyone. I return. Sorry, just confirming about getting that bag back. Very big moment. Okay, relevant to understand some key players. Caleb Maupin has been running this whole scam. Keaton Mansfield, Lily Goldklang, someone called the Yankee Tanky, and a bunch of other young people. Young people who've been involved with Caleb Maupin's work. Yeah. And now they being, let me just read through the roster here. Member 1 and Member 2, just unknown anonymized members of the CPI. Keaton Mansfield, Yankee Tanky, another couple of people, and then corroboration from other members as well, have gotten together to clarify that Caleb has been being just a massive fucking creep and a monster, basically, and just a predator. And we'll be going through that just now. So I think I've given the Cliff's notes for people who maybe don't know anything, but also, like, if you don't know anything, maybe you want to go watch some Burger King videos and watch the thing I linked in chat, watch the cringe corner that Mildred and I did about Caleb Maupin, watch Mildred's old videos about Caleb Maupin, and then come back and watch the archive of this. That's what I can kind of suggest. Okay, context for people who already did know something. The Yankee Tanky made a video a little while ago calling out Keaton Mansfield. Now, again, Keaton Mansfield is this... I've been calling him the cringe cowboy. He wears like a cowboy hat everywhere. He's a trad calf. He said that if he was Pope, then he would like to raise a holy army to fight in Ukraine on the side of Russia, because he views it as a new holy crusade. These people are amazing. But Yankee Tanky was calling out Keaton Mansfield before, and watching that video, it was a bit painful because, like, everything that he was pointing to was very clearly an abuse that was coming from Caleb. But the classic structure of all cults is that the, bear with me on this term, charismatic leader is one step removed from all the followers by some kind of, like, second in command who gives the orders and can be blamed for stuff, while the, bear with me, charismatic leader remains like unimpugned by general opinion. And so Yankee Tanky was releasing this video. As you can tell from the name Yankee Tanky, this guy is an authoritarian. He's very, very unhelpful approach to socialist politics. He's also like another tradcath, I believe. He's at least very like conservative Christian. He wasn't what? He was like detailing in one of the like in one of the things he was saying was like a big problem with Keaton Mansfield's behavior. He just basically talked about like a big argument they'd had over whether under in an ideal world, like under their government, basically, like whether they would whether it would be enough to just ban dating apps, or whether sex should be strictly controlled. And just kind of a nightmare back and forth of like socially conservative ideas. But as I said, he was detailing stuff that was very obviously Caleb Maupin's fault, but attributing it to Keaton Mansfield. So in that video, he talked about him being in the John Brown Volunteers and some conduct that he thought was inappropriate from Keaton Mansfield, based on the fact that they were all in a fucking... one sec, sorry. Okay, so back to the story. Sorry about all the interruptions. Just having this stressful time with my bag right now. Yeah, Yankee Tanky was talking about stuff that was like he felt was like really inappropriate of Keaton Mansfield to be doing under the framing of the John Brown Volunteers living together in a motel room or like in a hotel room. Like, not like a couple of people in a twin room, like 6 people in a twin room with like multiple people sleeping on the floor kind of situation. And like all of them touring around together and like having to like pay for the materials that they would distribute. Like kind of like stuff that made it very clear that what we're dealing with here is a pyramid scheme, right? Where they're like basically they're trying to make returns on the like weird bullshit patriotic American socialist canvassing materials that they're trying to sell to people to make money for the organization, read Caleb Maupin, and that they're like living in this tiny cramped conditions. And then he was just kind of complaining in a way that I felt was like basically just was like frustration and stress about someone that he'd had to be close by to, and not identifying who was the obvious real problem here, right? In fact, at multiple points in that video, Yankee Tanky is like, Caleb Maupin is a great man. I'm not trying to say all this to pin this on Caleb Maupin. I'm not like these CIA bread tubers like Sophie from Mars. No, I'm kidding around. However, this is what I mean, is that I'm talking about some people who've been seriously harmed, and they also think that I'm satanic CIA agent. But that doesn't mean that they're not basically just young, impressionable kids. So that's what we need to get into just now. Okay. So Caleb Maupin's former comrades speak out. His abuses must stop. So, Member 1 and Member 2 have been anonymized because they have, in particular, experiences of sexual misconduct with Caleb Maupin. It seems that, and I keep on emphasizing that these are all very young people because that's something that's just going to be like really distressingly like a huge part of what's going on here. We're going to be skimming over the article a little bit. I've already read it. I'm not going to be reading the whole thing because it's quite long, but we're going to be talking about it, and then I'm going to go from here and work on some exploits for my Shadow of the Colossus speedrun and basically chat about it some more. There's also a little bit of bingo I want to play later in pointing out some places where Caleb Maupin, especially, but Caleb Maupin's adult friends, I'm making a distinction to his, like, 18 and 19-year-old victims, made accusations against me and my friends, which all turn out to just literally be shit Caleb Maupin was doing, because, again, every conservative accusation is a confession. Every fucking time. Okay. Just reading from... I am gonna read sections of this, but just a little. Member 2 statement. When I first met Caleb, I was 19 years old, living on my own for the first time, and paying my rent with my own paychecks while going to school full-time. I was in a very vulnerable place, socially and financially. At the same time, though, I consider myself to be more mature than my peers because of how independent I was compared to my other political science classmates, and because I was one of the only communists. When I met him, a prominent YouTuber and accomplished journalist over a decade older than me, who treated me like his intellectual equal, he made me feel intelligent and important, especially since he would frequently take me out to dinner and where we'd discuss our political ambitions and the think tank he wanted me to help him build, the Center for Political Innovation. Beginning in 2019, we would have dinner together at least once a month, and sometimes during those dinners he would bring up his academic interest in corporal punishment, especially spanking. As time went on, we became closer and closer friends, which led to him confiding in me in 2022 during the beginning of the COVID pandemic that his academic special interest was, in fact, a sexual one. He even told me that he would engage other people in conversations about corporal punishment and spanking because it turned him on to do so. When we became closer friends in 2021, he finally admitted to me that he would masturbate to the thought of roping unsuspecting people, especially women, into these conversations about their experiences with being spanked and other forms of physical abuse. Okay, we're starting to get why I'm talking about not laughing at Caleb Maupin's sexual abuse. It's actually quite horrible shit. Basically, this person saying that this relationship, like this relationship of familiarity and of like talking about this stuff, and especially a dynamic where he made them feel like they were special because they were mature, led to him putting more and more pressure on them. And he made them miss shifts at the job they had, which led to them losing the job. And then he basically kept on pressuring them, saying that they needed to be. By the way, they have multiple mental. They have multiple diagnoses. They're a very vulnerable person. Also, from this text exchange, something that really struck me was Keaton assures me he is on his way to you right now. After like not asking whether they wanted him to send someone, so he just like sort of sent his right hand man to come to like to kind of deal with them and control them when like they were freaking out about having lost their job. So from this, basically, as I said before, the John Brown volunteers were volunteers. They weren't being paid for what they were doing. In fact, they were paying Caleb rent for the hotel room. They were paying Caleb rent for the hotel room that he was having them all share. While I believe Caleb Maupin has like a wife. And he, like, lives in a big house. I don't know if he lives in a big house. But he's, like, Like, I'm saying he's getting these young people and he's just like cramming them into completely inhumane conditions, and acting as their landlord while trying to get them to make money for the CPI. Again, read just, it's literally just Caleb Maupin. So let's read a little bit of the description of the money. Paying a $200 a week in rent to Caleb, for the $600 a week hotel cost. Living, I think, 3 people in the room at that point. Yep. Right. I was paying the majority of the house, despite this agreement, I was paying the majority of the household expenses for the John Brown volunteers because the only money we received to support ourselves was the half of our canvassing money we kept each day. Most of the time, we'd make about $30 to $100 per day total. So when I lost my math tutoring job, Caleb still expected me to continue financially supporting the JBV, while I also had to continue to pay for my student loans, which meant I desperately needed another source of income. Caleb expected me to spend even more time canvassing for the JBVs after I lost my job, though, because he thought canvassing was a sufficient way of making money for myself and the organization. I could have canvassed less so I could get another job, or he could have stopped asking me to pay that third of the rent since it seemed unnecessary before I had started living there. But part of what Caleb wanted was for me to spend less time away from him and CPI, giving basically every spare second I had to being a dutiful member of the group. This is something we basically will just continue to see over and over again, that he just continues to push people to spend all of their time on his projects and none of their time on them or with their family or finding another job or being stable. And increasingly it seems like he has framed that as it's because it's the revolution, baby. You can't give up on the revolution. You just can't give up on the revolution. A note I've been saying to people a lot over the last couple of days is it did puzzle me when Caleb Maupin expressed extreme loathing for Maoists, and I think I finally cracked that one, because I've known for a while the CPI was a cult, but I realized it's because he's recognized that a lot of Maoist groups are also just cults, and he doesn't want he doesn't want them to steal his followers. He just doesn't want to steal him. He doesn't want them to steal his followers. So he's like poisoning the well. This quote is astonishing. His reaction to that suggestion that this person find other work and help to make things more stable, made it very clear he didn't even see it as an option. He told me that I couldn't have, quote, 1 foot in living biologically and 1 foot in the revolution. Yeah. So, yep. Oh, this also, he would just keep on, he would just bring out these... Is this the Bible? I assume this is the fucking Bible. Like, he brings out these kinds of passages a whole bunch. It's really... Anyway. So, therefore I ended up doing sex work so I could make enough to support our household and pay off my debts while still having enough to canvass full-time for the JBVs. I distinctly remember telling Caleb it seemed like sex work was my only way out of this delicate financial situation. His response was simply that he respects my decision. In retrospect, it seems like the real reason he didn't mind me doing sex work while I was living in CPI's New Jersey housing is he probably wanted to become one of my clients. For what it's worth, after I left the JBV house, he eventually did become a client of mine. So, that's... Caleb kicked me out of the John Brown Volunteers in the beginning of November 2021 after I relapsed on heroin in late October. It's just like that. Like, it's just fucking horrific. Anyway, then there are some details of what Caleb was looking for, which I don't know. I think people are going to be very keen to go into, because it is funny to imagine Caleb Maupin, blah blah blah. However, I just again want to really focus on and have an appreciation for this woman's suffering. Like, what woman, like fucking 19 when she met him, like fucking this isn't it's just really fucking horrible. It's just really, really, really fucking horrible. Yeah, it's just really, really, really fucking horrible. Yeah. A crucial thing that I wanted to go over to do with his seeing sex workers, because obviously like people seeing sex workers in and of itself is not a bad thing at all. But by the time mid-December, I was clean again, which Caleb insisted upon in order for us to see each other. Yet he was still apparently lying to the rest of the CPI that I continued to be in the midst of my drug addiction. He did this while saying to my face that he didn't want me going to CPI events or his birthday party, so I didn't run into his wife. I believe that's pronounced Mehez. I'm sorry if I'm wrong about that, because he thought it would make things awkward. So I don't know if his wife knew any of what he was doing here. I mean, she presumably didn't know that he was like such a fucking monster. I don't know if I don't know. Then there's a lot of detail on how much Caleb Maupin likes to be spanked. And yeah, that's one that keeps on coming back is he basically like he particularly seeks out apparently to be dominated and disciplined and to be like kept on track to do the right work for the revolution by getting spanked so that he's a good boy. Someone married Maupin? Yeah, Maupin. Yeah, that's what I said. Maupin's married. What about his weird duck story? Okay, we can talk about the weird duck story. That's fine. That's okay. Okay, I cave. I have to give in and talk about the duck story, and I probably also have to show the text where Maupin talks about his red bottom. But other than that, seriously, like you shouldn't lose sight here of what he's been doing. It's really horrible. So, the last straw for me, what finally forced me to stop publicly aligning myself with Caleb once and for all, was his response to Yankee Tanky's video exposing another CPI member, Keaton's inappropriate behaviors within the group. Caleb sent me the link to that video after weeks of completely ignoring me, in the hopes that I would ask Joey to take the video down, since many of the allegations against Keaton included intimate details of my personal life. While I did agree with Caleb that Joey had no right to expose my personal life like that without my consent, he did keep me anonymous while discussing what happened, and I myself had complained to Caleb about many of Keaton's actions as they were happening while we were still living in the JBV house, but Caleb's response was always to dismiss my concerns or reassure me he'd talk to Keaton. So that's cool. Oh, a fun little side note from something that the Yankee Tanky said about Keaton Mansfield in that video is that Keaton Mansfield apparently is obsessed with Jim Jones and tries to emulate him. So that's cool. When I reminded Caleb about the truth of what Joey was saying and how I'd made these complaints to Caleb myself, he lashed out at me, accusing me of being obsessed with Keaton and demanding to know why I was so preoccupied with a former fling from last summer. This temper tantrum of his and the subsequent attacks on my character throughout that conversation was when I decided enough was enough. Clearly, my dedication to socialism and the CPI through the years and loyalty to Caleb was no longer relevant. These incidents, as well as some conversations I had later with other former members of the CPI, have me fully convinced that Caleb Maupin is not qualified to lead any political organization, period. Yes, and furthermore... yeah. Anyway. So... how are we all doing? Let's read some comments before we carry on. Murchase? Is that how I should be saying it? Murchase? I don't know. Yeah, she was 19. Yeah, she was 19 when they met and in the middle of her poli-sci degree. I don't know if she finished her degree or not. That's distressing. Cis white men stop using politics as a way of starting a sex cult challenge. Yeah, that would be cool, I think. I think it would be cool if cis white men would not do that. Sorry, I'm just having trouble with a thing. I'm going to be back in a minute. Okay, maybe I can have the Disco Elysium music on, and then that'll be nice ambience in case I do have to pause. And it's also probably nice for when I am streaming anyway. Yeah, that's kind of a nice mix. Okay, sorry about that, everyone. I'm back. My girlfriend's gone out to get my bag from the place I left it, so I'm just like, I keep on having to shift gears very radically, but she's on the way back now, so it's fine. It's okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to pause again in a second because she's gonna get back. Okay. This is member 2's account. In September 2017, I was a 22-year-old woman who found out about SYNA through a mutual friend who was also engaged in political activism. My personal interest in foreign relations and history led me to join a group that prides itself on intellectual discourse. I need to say, before I carry on, that like... Oh shit, I didn't put it on screen. Sorry about that, everyone. I need to say, like, 22, like, at 22, someone's brain is not done cooking. Like, I'm just really distressed by this. Like, there are these accounts from, like, 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds, but even someone who's, like, 22, it's just... I don't know. It's fucked. My point is just that it's fucked, and I could just say it's fucked a ton of times, basically, and that would be the point I'm trying to make. It's fucked! Cool. Okay. Oh god, I'm being so messy right now. I'm gonna pause again really quickly, sorry. We'll properly get into it in a second. I got my bag back. It's all okay. I have my passport. I will be able to travel for my FFS next month. That really freaked me out. I need to get other ID. Okay. Okay. On with the stream. Whew. My brain was pretty much cooked at age 6, though. I feel like we might be using cooked in different ways. In different ways. Okay. Should I turn this back down? That's better. Okay. Let's begin this paragraph over. In September 2017, I was a 22-year-old woman who found out about SYNA through a mutual friend who is also engaged in political activism. My personal interest in foreign relations and history led me to join a group that prides itself on intellectual discourse and on educating ourselves and others about the human rights we deserve. I felt so engaged that I even included SYNA on my resume, listing that I helped with organizing events related to labor history, workers' rights, and that some of our members did food drives and laundry drives. We all noticed that Caleb was an unofficial leader of the group. He was 29 at the time, had a consistent income, and was willing to spend his income on event space, whereas we were younger and without the ability to spend much of our incomes on event space and organizing. Caleb was SYNA's de facto leader, and all decisions would need his approval. Anyone who made their own decisions regarding activism without his knowledge or approval could face his judgment, criticism, and gossip. This is also another really just so pathetic kind of abuser tactic that he's engaged in is his gossiping. That's something people talk about a whole bunch throughout this article. It's just how much he would just shit talk anyone he was pissed off at, and it's just yeah, man, this is exactly what Lenin would be doing right now. Okay. So, when I got a new side job that involved teaching in 2018, Caleb began to mention his rough childhood to me more often. During one-on-one conversations, he would mention different stories all tying back to these main points. Found it hard to make friends, bullied badly, I'm shocked, and he was physically abused growing up. Caleb spoke more about being spanked at school, then finally made it clear he gets sexual gratification from being spanked now as an adult, and sees a dominatrix twice a month with his wife's permission. Ah, now we know. I thought it was kind of strange, but I figured he was being friendly and jovial, the way some friends talk about sex, and he mentioned it was a struggle for him to make friends. Yeah, just people kind of making allowances for a dude being kind of weird and awkward, and actually what he's trying to do is predate on people. Another thing Caleb mentioned to me at some point in 2018 was he would ask women if they were ever spanked as a child, and like to talk to women about their experiences and share his own childhood spanking memories. Caleb told me that he knows this is bad, but he would take what they shared with him and masturbate about them being spanked. Not them being spanked as a child, but he would just masturbate to the whole idea of them expressing their feelings on being spanked and punished. I was really shocked and disgusted that he had told me this. Yeah. Yeah, so this is a little bit about his, like, the way he made gossip and wanted everything centered around his input and approval. We hardly ever spoke to each other outside of Caleb's earshot. For example, he would tell us that one SYNA member is very spoiled and supposedly a whiny baby that lives off money from their parents. This was an 18 to 20-year-old at the time. Then there were two other members Caleb's negative gossip on them to me was asking if I think they're gay on multiple occasions, and Caleb would specifically point out the things about what they do or what they wear that make them seem gay. So that's cool. That's just really good. Anyway, so between February and April 2019, this bit's just like some of the absolute sicko mode shit from Caleb Maupin. Sorry, I should clarify the distinction between where I'm finding Caleb to be like very, very embarrassing and where he's being absolutely disgusting. In this case, it's the former. Between February and April 2019, I mean, it's a bit of it's both. It's just always both. That's the problem with Caleb Maupin. It's just impossible to pick this shit apart. Between February and April 2019, Caleb began mentioning the idea of a social media coach. So basically, Caleb wanted to get someone to tell him to post more and post better and get more followers and be a good boy online, and to spank him if he did not do that. So, I kept once again trying to do deflecting measures. Like I would tell him to check out an app called Seeking Arrangements, where he can create a profile and find someone to charter up this sexual financial agreement. I wasn't exactly uncomfortable yet because I knew I could always reject any advance, but it was also honestly starting to get annoying, and if he wanted his fix so bad, he needed to just go somewhere else and find it and stop talking to me about it all the time, considering the fact that I was a member of SYNA and therefore first and foremost a comrade/activist. Again, Caleb was simultaneously telling me I was such a kind and special friend and hardworking SYNA member, with all this going on. Anyway, sorry. I was worried if I clearly told him to stop talking about sexual fantasies and him needing prostitutes, I wouldn't be able to be in SYNA anymore or have a working friendship with him anymore. Something clicked in my head on April 17th, 2019, when he wrote in a message that he will get in touch with his old roommate about this social media coach idea. Okay. So, we can't see the start of the message there in this screenshot, but we can see the end of the message, and the end of the message from Caleb Maupin is, "Bottom until it's red and bruised doesn't arouse you." So, I'm sorry to everyone in chat who I just killed with psychic damage. You read these words to die instantly. Anyway. There are things to like financial domination stuff, but yeah, I'm not passionate about it. So in the end, I felt like it would be wasting their time and money, and I would go through a lot of effort for something that makes me feel gross because I had imagined most clients are not young or attractive. So he's saying, my old roommate blanked out. She seemed interested in some of this. I'm going to casually bring up the social media discipline thing when I see her next week. Not directly ask her, but just casually bring it up, see how she reacts. And so, number one here is saying that, yeah, like just we're setting down the line about this. Nothing to lose. I can't do that for you, just so you know, only because you have mentioned it to me. Lol lol lol, I wasn't propositioning you. Don't worry, we are comrades. I don't bring this stuff into politics, which we know from the previous account already is very untrue. He said he would talk to me about this idea to the roommate. He would talk about this idea to the roommate and see if she is interested in being his social media coach. My response to that information was to take my chance and finally make it clear that I will never be interested in engaging acts of prostitution for Caleb. I'm gonna read over that with sex work, I think. To me, I believe that he was hoping I would do exactly what he had hoped would happen with his old roommate. He was talking about this idea to me often, the way he said he would talk about it to the old roommate, in the hopes that she responds to the idea in a positive way. Dudes suck. I'm not even gonna do the ironic meme this time. Dudes just fucking suck. Like, just like trying to fucking talk meekly and just like bring it up casually in the hopes that like these women around you will be like, holy shit, Caleb, I've always wanted to have a sub who I spank until he gets enough followers on twitter.com. That's my ideal job, actually. I've always wanted a red-faced boy who loves to be dominated and disciplined for not getting enough Twitter followers. Ah, God. Frowning so hard. Yeah, let's check in on chat. Nothing about Caleb Maupin does or ever will arouse me. I'm gonna share one single private DM. I sent this article to Mildred, and she immediately said, "Well, at least we know now why he keeps letting me humiliate him." Okay. This is also why he went after young people. A 30-year-old would have told him to fuck off ages ago. Seriously, they know. They literally know. Like, he literally, yeah, he's aware of who is, like, less confident and less able to, like, reject the weird fucking bullshit he's doing. Anyway, our conversation between April 17th onwards then did focus more on politics, but he would still mention his sexual things to me, like messaging me on April 22, only mere days later, that he is getting ready to go meet his dominatrix to get spanked. I ignored that comment and continued trying to keep our conversations intellectual, jovial, and respectful. Woof. So then he was pressuring her to take this trip to Venezuela to promote Juan Guaido. What am I talking about? To protest against Guaido. Okay. This idea seemed very risky and out of touch for Caleb to be suggesting. Usually our activism was within NYC/America, and Caleb was usually the first person to speak up loudly about us making sure we behave cordial and safe outside/online. For example, making sure we never talk about guns or promoting violence, and just always trying to make sure that we only promote safe and legal forms of freedom of speech. So this seemed very out of character for Caleb. Caleb felt insistent that I needed to drop my work and take a trip to Venezuela to condemn America. So this is part of where I'm like, this is part of where the question rocks around again, right? Where does Caleb actually get his money from? Because it seems obvious to everyone. Okay. Every time I bring up this question, someone is like, well, Sophie, obviously Russia, right? Is he not just obviously paid by Russia? And I don't know. So I don't know. It's not an allegation that I think I'm in a safe place to make. Outside of him, like, working for Russia Today, obviously he gets that literal money from literally Russia. But, like, I mean that I'm not in the business of making, getting myself in potential legal trouble. But, like, my critique, right, of the Russia thing is that if someone was saying to me he's paid by the Russian government to be the weird like multipolar world propagandist guy that he is, my critique would be that he's done it for so many different countries that I'm like, I don't know, is there kind of like a speaking engagement circuit, but for like, just for like weird, like fake anti-imperialist dudes who just like go around and just like promote the CCP and Venezuela and Russia and like Assad, right? Like, is because to me it's much more like that. It's not like, it doesn't feel actually like he is just paid by Russia. That's my critique of when people say that. Again, not that I am saying for sure that he is like paid off by these governments to engage in the activism that he engages in. Anyway. So he was carrying on insisting that she should go with him to Venezuela. He explained he is so accomplished and has done so many risky political acts throughout his life, and now he has a comfortable job, which is why he couldn't go to Venezuela, but it was really disappointing that none of us would go. In my head, this was such a joke. He stated that I can't go to Venezuela because he currently has a comfortable... Sorry, he stated he can't go to Venezuela because he currently has a comfortable job, and he wants us all to drop whatever we're doing and go there in such a tense political climate during May 2019. I told him that I had to wake up early in the morning for work and that he needs to leave me alone. Yeah, good stuff. I honestly think like part of this, I don't know how well this will translate for everyone, but basically like it feels like the way that a lot of like startup CEO dudes are creepy. Like it feels like the exact same kind of way where a lot of dudes who are like, this is my dream. I worked so hard at this, so you should work so hard at my dream as well. Only like instead of like a startup. Okay, thanks. Only instead of some fucking stuff, instead of it being like Juicero, it's like propaganda for the Russian government. Like you know what I mean? It's to me, that's what this is, anyway. That's how this really like feels. Like he's like a dude who is like, I have had no life for 2 years trying to get my fintech app off the ground so that like the children of Russian oligarchs will be able to spend rubles in Armenia, and I've had no relationships and had no life. But now that I have the venture capital in, obviously I have all those things, and I've gotten married and I have a huge apartment. And now you, in turn, working for my fintech startup, you should have absolutely no life. Only, again, instead of it being Juicero or whatever, it's the CPI. Anyway. Argument goes in circles, with me resisting all of his manipulation attempts and him baiting me to try to criticize him or call him names until 3 a.m. Yeah. Awesome. So, yeah, she shared, like, how he'd been behaving, and he removed her from the SYNA group chats, and then, like, talked shit about her, basically, which is just, yeah, awesome. He also, I think, I'm just, sorry, scanning for this, is, I found out in 2022 that Caleb told different SYNA/CPI members different slanderous versions about me. He told some people that I quit SYNA because I was an alcoholic. He told other people I couldn't keep up with SYNA obligations anymore due to my alcoholism, but that I'm welcome to come back. Established SYNA members knew this was weird but didn't question it, and new SYNA/CPI members didn't know who I was and didn't question it. For the record, I have never had a drinking problem. When I was 23 and in 2019, I had fun drinking socially with my friends. Caleb has an alcohol allergy and cannot drink any alcohol. So, here's a fun thing about Alcoholics Anonymous, is that they frame the disease of addiction as an allergy to alcohol. I I've already said that I'm gonna engage in a little bingo later in this stream about all the times where Caleb has like pointed it at me or my friends and made an accusation, and it turns out to be exactly what was going on with Caleb. So no extra shame on Caleb if he is a recovering alcoholic, but very much extra shame on Caleb if he is a recovering alcoholic and he tried to slander this woman out of their activist circle by saying that she was an alcoholic. My guy is just so many layers of terrible. He's like a rotten onion. Okay. But anyway, just fine. Just gonna take that at face value for now. Caleb has an alcohol allergy, cannot drink any alcohol. In addition to his gossipy/judgmental lifestyle, I think he has a bad perception on what is or isn't a normal amount of alcohol to consume. I have never been a daily drinker. In 2019, I would probably average about 4 to 5 alcoholic drinks on a Friday, Saturday night if I went out with friends, and then about 2 to 3 drinks if I met a friend, such as Caleb, during the work week. I stick to the general 1 drink per hour rule, and in general, I intrinsically value sobriety and alcohol moderation. Awesome. So frustrating. Just so fucking frustrating. Kind of tarnishing someone's reputation is an extremely typical thing of, you rejected me, now I have to alienate you from everyone. Yeah, absolutely. Fucking absolutely. Hey Lorcan, thanks for checking in. Just for a quick sidebar on that. For those who do know, this weekend, what fucking day is it even? Yes, Jesus Christ, it's Sunday. For those who know, who've been kind of aware, my dad passed away on Friday. Don't know. It's been a weird time. It's just been a weird time. He's been sick for a really long time, and then, I think I told some people, I can't remember. Yeah, I think I shared last stream that we found out that he was probably going to die within the next few weeks or couple of weeks, and I was raising money to get to be able to travel out to see him before that happened. He passed on Friday. It was very peaceful, and he was with his family. It's okay, and we got out there and I got to say goodbye. So that's the brief sidebar over. I'm okay. Thank you, everyone, for expressing your concerns. I'm all right. Thank you, Lorcan, for your well wishes. Sorry, everyone, for derailing the stream. I'm completely fine. Don't worry. I mean, I'm grieving, but, I'm fine. Okay. Me, my family, and my closest people who know me would not at all characterize me as having an issue with alcoholism, let alone an alcoholism issue that would lead me to abandon my political activism. I am explaining this in such great detail because I and other SYNA members 100% believe that this was a slanderous/libelous tactic to detract from the fact that I had turned down money for sex with him. Yes, I think that's probably a pretty fair evaluation of what's going on. I think Caleb has devoted far too much time talking about his sexual life and gossiping about/slandering comrades. To me, it's very concerning, and I was partly silent from 2019 until now because I was hoping that Caleb would just get the help that he needs. Sorry, I've gotten way too into reading mode, and we're not reading the whole thing here. This is too much. Anyway, I'll just read the last little bit of this person's account. They said, "Don't naively trust people just because they call themselves an activist or a comrade. Do not be afraid to question Caleb's credentials. Does Caleb have experience in accounting, non-profit accounting, or positive youth development? Caleb keeps working around young people. Has he taken precautions to create strict boundaries with minors and young adults? Has he been formally trained in how to work with high school/college freshman-age students? Does Caleb even see the value in taking a step back from CPI in order to learn more about how to teach youth appropriately and work on himself? This is an opportunity for people to prove if they are a true comrade or not. I was forced out of SYNA because I did not want to be Caleb's sex worker. I have provided the background and details. I have allowed SYNA members to hold my phone and look through my messages with Caleb. Will you take the side of the predators who wish to silence me, who continue to further break the law by creating libel and slander about me, who wish to intimidate victims into silence? Or will you actively be a comrade and support injustice everywhere, even if it gives you cognitive dissonance?" And I think that's very brave. I just think that someone's, like, speaking against the people who, like, speaking to and speaking in a very challenging way to the people who she was in a cult with, basically. Like, it's a hell of a time. I don't know. It's good job and solidarity from this satanic CIA asset anarchist. Okay. Keaton Mansfield has a statement in this. Now, Keaton Mansfield is a very interesting one because, as I've been saying, he was sort of Caleb's right-hand man for a long time, and there was this other person made a complaint about him. But also, it's just really important to understand, Keaton started working with Caleb incredibly young, and I think... we'll get into the... Sorry, yeah, I don't know why I'm saying I think when I've got the article right in front of me. And moved, like, across the country to come work with Caleb after, like, one Zoom call, and just, like, only having, like, one Zoom call. So, you know, continual pattern of extremely cool and normal behavior from Caleb Maupin. When I was 18 years old, I left rural Illinois for New York City after a phone call from Caleb Maupin asking me to become a full-time canvasser for the Center for Political Innovation under the outreach organization called the John Brown Volunteers. Yeah. I'm just finding my place in this. Here we go. When I got back home to Jersey City, it was awkward when Joey noticed it. Sorry. Nope, I've skipped the wrong thing. Yes. This is the ring thing, sorry. Looking back, many, if not most of the things Caleb expressed to me in private were designed to suddenly pit Joey and I against one another, culminating with the bestowing of the Akik ring immediately before going to Texas in December. Caleb wanted us both vying for his favor at the expense of respecting one another. Caleb saw the Akik ring in Iran. He wears one all the time because it is a symbol of power. This is something we noticed, by the way. Mildred and I were watching the speeches when we were recording our Cringe Corner of the CPI conference, and we saw his weird little ring. A symbol of power. After promising Joey and me we would both receive one, instead he gave one only to me in New York City before I left for Texas. At the time, he told me it was a status symbol and that only his most trusted inner circle could wear one like him. Therefore, people will notice we were all wearing the same ring everywhere. When I got back home to Jersey City, it was awkward when Joey noticed it, and I didn't have an explanation for why I got one and he didn't. I eventually stopped wearing it because I felt disgusted with everything this represented, a manipulation tactic Caleb used to make each of us think we were individually special to him and that he trusted each of us the most. Caleb also gave one to another member who I was very close to, Lily. This trick of playing members off each other was not limited to Joey and me. Lily has also experienced and admitted to this being a reality. Yeah. And again, in Yankee Tanky's video where he's kind of blaming Keaton Mansfield for everything, he talks about Keaton really liking Jim Jones. I do think that, like, there is a thing going on where people, where sometimes people who, I don't know, Keaton's very young. I'm not pitting really anything to him outside of what people have, like, kind of where people have their own problems. But I do think that, like, there's a dynamic sometimes, I think, where people are interested in cults, and then they think that you can just kind of take some good stuff from cults, and it's very naive, right? So it makes sense that it would be something that a very young guy would believe. But, like, people believe that you can just take the good stuff from cults and, like, use, I guess, like, the extreme loyalty that a cult provides, but it's okay because we're communists, so we're doing it for a good reason, kind of thing, right? And yeah. Anyway. This, like, inner circle and wearing, like, rings of power stuff is what I'm trying to get at here. It's, like, it's kind of relying on that. When Caleb, Lily, and I were in Nicaragua for their November 2021 elections, Caleb would constantly complain to me about Lily's immaturity and stress how glad he was that his right-hand guy, referring to me, did not act like Lily. Sucks. Anyway, so there's some stuff about expenses for a car. Around the time of New Year's 2022, Caleb sent me a screenshot of an argument he was having with his wife. Normal behavior. In it, you can see him... Sorry, I just want to check this really quick. July 16th, 2021, when I was 18 years old. Yeah, Keaton Mansfield's only 19 now. So that's, you know, deeply cool. 19 or 20, I guess. An argument was having with his wife. In it, you can see him mention that he plans to make enough money off of CPI that he can quit his job at RT. He also says blatantly that he will live in a compound in the woods where he would live with the kids, referring to the young people that he's manipulating and controlling, who are in his cult. It's extremely good and normal. Okay. That's why I'm moving up in the world and you aren't. Fucking... Okay, sorry. You don't have the... You don't know have the social... He's such a fucking clown. He's just such a fucking loser. Alright. I'm asserting myself like an adult and I might get my bonus. Wow. Eventually, I'm going to make enough money with CPI that I will quit RT, and then I will leave you also. Cool, Caleb. Cool. This is a cool and normal thing to send to your 18-year-old right-hand man. I'm going to set up a big compound in the woods where I live with all the kids, and a studio to broadcast my show over the internet. When I've been saying for a while now, right? When I made Conspiracy on the Left, when I've been saying continuously, right, that these fucking people are very comparable to Alex Jones. The reason I've been saying that, let me just clarify something for a second. The reason I've been saying how Caleb Maupin is comparable to Alex Jones is that most of you motherfuckers haven't heard of Milton William Cooper. Because who is most comparable to is actually Bill Cooper, the father of modern right-wing talk radio, of conspiracy theory radio broadcasting, right? Milton William Cooper literally died in a shootout with the cops, was literally living, like, not a compound, but like a ranch, and like in the middle of nowhere, and like fully, because he's like a 2A dude, like armed to the teeth. This is the arc. Like, this is the arc for these fucking dudes. And like, it's what Caleb Maupin has apparently been aspiring to the entire fucking time. Anyway, for those who aren't aware of Milton William Cooper, look up Behold a Pale Horse, which was his seminal work that influenced a wide number of people, including the Wu-Tang Clan. And then read not Behold a Pale Horse, because it's like so many pages of gibberish. Then read Pale Horse Rider, which is a very good biography of William Cooper. Okay. Oh, also, Agent Cooper from Twin Peaks is named after Bill Cooper. Caleb also spoke to me about what he was doing sexually with Member 2. He would make inappropriate comments about him to me. I don't think that's... I think Member 2 is trans and Keaton is being a nightmare. It could be a typo. Anyway. After the retreat, Caleb asked me to sign a non-disclosure agreement. He didn't exactly specify what it was about, but he did give hints. Caleb said he would get... Hang on. He didn't specify what it was about, so I'm assuming you didn't get to read the document that he's asking you to fucking... Behold a Pale Horse was mentioned on Knowledge Fight once. Behold a Pale Horse should be mentioned on Knowledge Fight pretty regularly, I'm pretty sure. Forget not that Keaton is the cringe Catholic cowboy. Yes, but he's also very young, and whomst among us. I was very cringe when I was 19. I wasn't a cringe cowboy, or a trad cath, but I was pretty transphobic, so. Okay. So this is getting to the Yankee Tanky, who already tried to call out a lot of stuff by trying to call out Keaton Mansfield. I think an interesting thing to stop and note here is that the Yankee Tanky was one of the earliest people to get kicked out of Caleb Maupin's organizations.
Yeah, just so you
know. And the Yankee Tanky is significantly older than the others, right? So it's like someone with mental health issues, someone who's a little older, someone who's like tired of being fucking treated this way by people, who's also like a little more assured of themselves, is going to be the person who is willing to like challenge this kind of behavior sooner, and then yeah, gets fucking kicked out. Okay. I am diabetic, and I also have... Sorry, let me just... I'll read the thing that kind of starts it. Back in June 2021, when I was 27 years old, I went to the Saxton Lectures in Pennsylvania, specifically to network with folks and to join the CPI. I was strongly inspired by the words of Caleb Maupin and motivated to get out of the movement and into the masses. Cool. There I discovered Caleb was putting together an outreach team in New York City, and he invited anyone to talk to him who were interested in joining. I talked to Caleb, and he told me to come out to NYC, and he would have a place ready for me. So he sold like everything he owned to move to Caleb Maupin's motel room that he was making him share with other members of the John Brown Volunteers. And as I said before, make them fucking pay rent. During our time at the motel room, I used my food stamps to pay for food for me and Keaton. I got about $250 a month to pay for our food. Later, another individual joined us, and my food stamps had to pay for that person as well. Caleb often told us that we had to struggle to achieve socialism. You have to struggle to achieve socialism. I, of course, get to live in my house with my wife. In hindsight, I see that was Caleb's attempt to manipulate us into not asking him for a lot of money. I am diabetic, and I also have MRSA, which never goes away. So my bad diet connected to our limited budget ultimately led to my sugar spiking, which fed the MRSA and caused an MRSA infection, which I had to go to the hospital for. The day I went into the hospital, the JBV were at a political rally in Times Square. Caleb asked if I could come join my comrades at the rally as soon as I left the hospital, even though I really should have been resting and recovering from the infection. Caleb promised to take care of our food, our housing, and any other material needs that we had. Alas, Caleb failed to provide even the most basic resources to help us survive and insisted we use our canvassing contributions to cover everything. However, canvassing is very slow and tedious work, and it never brought in enough income to sustain us all. I often had to dig through garbage put out by grocery stores just so we could eat. My comrades would even live on less because, according to Caleb, this is what revolutionaries had to do to survive. No, my guy. No, my guy. It's just you are not and have never been doing a revolution, just a fucking grift. And look. Joseph Stalin robbed banks. Like, revolutionaries have had to do some crazy shit, but like, not just live like 3 or 4 people in a hotel room paying some red-faced fucking lanyard bring your child to work day accident looking beaker in his dad's suit motherfucker for the privilege of getting an MRSA infection and then being asked to work the same day. That's not... This is not what Lenin would be doing, Caleb. This is not... So fucking dire. Just so fucking dire. So fucking dire. There was another thing about the infection there I think I missed? No. After an argument with Keaton got me kicked out of the JBV, Caleb offered to pay for a ticket home back to Pennsylvania. He never offered to pay me back for my possessions I sold for the organization, including my car. He never offered to provide any type of housing until I could get myself on my feet. He simply abandoned me with $200, either to be homeless in Texas or go back to Pennsylvania. I tried to live out in Texas and soon realized I couldn't make enough money to get out of the hotel I was staying at, and I would soon be homeless, so I was forced to head back to Pennsylvania. I ultimately, since getting kicked out of the organization, have been living in an abandoned house to survive, forced into e-begging on the internet to sustain myself while in between jobs. This has affected my public image, and thus affected my ability to make content and organize in the future. Further, Caleb has broken his promises to take care of those who join his organization. I am incredibly disappointed because, quite frankly, Caleb is the whole reason I am a communist. It pains me to admit that the man I was willing to follow to the end of the earth has mistreated me and many other comrades. Caleb has duped me, he has duped many, and he is an endangerment to many within these circles. I am disappointed on who Caleb has revealed himself to be, not a revolutionary, but a grifter trying to build a cult. Not my words, members of his cult's words. This isn't just supposed to be an I Told You So stream, but I have been saying for a while. The fuck was I gonna say? Sorry, this is all just so fucking dire. Like, I kind of joked about wanting to go live and do and gloat, and I joked about, like, you know, Caleb Maupin's account being gone. But honestly, like, when I want to stay with, like, the serious shit here, and when you do, it's just dire. This is just so much. Like, this is just so... He's just a fucking piece of shit. Like, he's just an astonishing piece of shit. Anyway. Alright. Okay, let's carry on. We're most of the way through it now. Okay. So, DL's statement. DL was 18 years old and had enrolled to be in college in Manhattan just a month later. Caleb had my undivided attention and confided in me multiple times that I was one of the few people who understood him. He saw such potential in me, etc. Fast forward to 2020, our relationship took a turn for the worse. When I was forced to move back to PA because of the economic situation brought on by the pandemic, Caleb repeatedly expressed his opposition to me remaining with my family for an extended period of time. I thought this was weird, but didn't think much of it, since the plan wasn't for me to remain in Philadelphia in PA for too long anyway. Of course, the pandemic and the lockdowns lasted longer than we initially thought. Through 2020 and 2021, Caleb repeatedly tried to convince me to drop everything and move back to New York City / New Jersey. In the pandemic! Anyway. Purin Puyo is rating with a party of 75. What good news. Hello, everyone. I am so tired. I'm Sophie from Mars. Welcome to my channel. We're going to be doing some Shadow of the Colossus speedrunning exploit practice in a little bit. Right now we're reading through an article about a conspiracy theorist and cult leader who has been trying to convince people that he's a communist, and who is not a communist, who you may know by the name of Caleb Maupin, who has finally been exposed by members of his cult as a cult leader and a serial abuser and a predator. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very normal. It's a cool and normal time. If you enjoy the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using Command Tip. If you donate directly using Command Tip, you will contribute to this little here, and that will help me to take my girlfriend out for a succulent Chinese meal for her birthday. Oh hey, we're talking about the Red Boy. Yes, we are talking about the Red Boy. He's not a communist, he's a very naughty boy. Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. Okay. Anyway, I think that I'm just gonna read a little bit more of this statement. I'm gonna switch over to doing some Shadow of the Colossus and doing kind of general chatting about this, because I'm a little tired of going through the article. The article's very, very long. This is why I said I wasn't gonna read the whole thing on stream. I will drop the link to it, because if anyone wants to just read it themselves, then there it is. I've spammed it. Anyway. Sorry, so yeah, what I wanted to focus on in DL's statement there was, and I guess this is just getting into the bingo, really. What I wanted to focus on in DL's statement was the trying to separate young, impressionable people away from their families. Because that is literally something that Maupin and pals have tried to accuse me and my friends of, is like, is basically of being groomers. I remember literally one of them. It might have been Caleb. I know Caleb like retweets everything by his cringe bully gang all the time anyway. So I don't know if it was him literally or Peter Coffin or like that like weird socialism Thomas the Tank Engine account or whatever. But like I remember one of them making some kind of remarks about Mildred like appealing to young trans people, and that being like the audience that we share on YouTube, and trying to say that she would like tell people they were mature for their age and like lure them away from their families. I remember this shit happening. I'm not gonna like go and try and dig it up right now, but like I remember this shit happening, and multiple of these accounts talk about how Caleb made these young impressionable people feel like they were mature for their age. It's just so fucking much. It's just literally so fucking much. Anyway, right, let's Madeline's statement. I became involved with Caleb Maupin's think tank, CPI, in December 2021 when I was 23. Since my involvement, there have been a few incidents which have alarmed me regarding Maupin's direction of CPI and the treatment of his members. I will be focusing on one personal conversation as well as a general overview of his recent political retreat in June. Okay. Caleb told me a story of President LBJ spanking students he was teaching while in Texas in the 1920s. I thought this was odd as the story didn't really have much bearing on our conversation, and I wasn't sure how to respond to it. It felt out of place. I said I think spanking children is an immoral thing to do. It is my feeling that Caleb purposefully brought up this story to me in order to test the waters on my reaction to corporal punishment/spanking, or to encourage me to discuss my own experience if I had any. This lines up with the information brought up by Member 1. So for those who joined us recently, two anonymized members have both talked about Caleb just pestering women to get them to talk about their experiences with spanking, which he has told them explicitly he does so that he can go and later masturbate thinking about them. The first account in this article was the most harrowing for people who are just joining now. It's someone who was pressured into doing sex work by Caleb Maupin to try and keep like his think tank afloat, and then after she got kicked out of the like motel room he was making her share with like 3 other volunteers and pay rent for, he became one of her clients and was like getting her to spank him. Kicked out of the motel room because she relapsed on heroin. It's a bad time. It's just a bad time. Caleb Maupin is a bad time and a bad person to be a bad person. There we go. That would do it. Just a full stop. Anyway. If I had not made it clear I was against this sort of punishment, Caleb may have used that conversation to later open up about his sexual fetish with me as he has with others. My second concern is the fact Caleb made it clear that he has the intentions to direct his members in a cultish manner. Many people know that he enjoys reading about cults, and he will even discuss the history of cults over live streams, etc. However, observing his direction of CPI has made it obvious he wants to implement some of the tactics he has read about. I was selected as a facilitator for his June CPI retreat, and noticed multiple instances of these bizarre tactics at the facilitator training. First, an exercise of deep listening was conducted in which facilitators were instructed to maintain continuous, unbroken eye contact with the attendee, show engaged body language, and ultimately memorize the conversation in order to make the attendee feel closely bonded to the facilitator. There was then a compliment-giving/receiving exercise done in order to rehearse interacting with guests. Caleb also requested that retreat facilitators approach attendees in the morning and ask them about their dreams from the night before. Imagine you've gone to this fucking thing because you're curious about communism, and then like one of Caleb Maupin's, like one of the teenagers that Caleb Maupin is abusing approaches you in the morning and is like, tell me what dreams you had. Fuck. Anyway. Thirdly, facilitators were made to practice group chanting during the facilitator training period. This included multiple minutes of chanting different political slogans and phrases. Maupin explicitly said this activity was meant to break the taboo around group chanting. Group chanting was used often throughout the entire retreat, usually with some sort of cue that prompted facilitators to begin the chant. It was clear that some of the attendees were put off and made uncomfortable by this. Lastly, Caleb had facilitators repeatedly rehearse his big entrance. This consisted of prolonged clapping when he entered the room, him giving out handshakes and hugs. Oh, thank you so much, Vordrella. Handshakes and hugs and extended chanting. Caleb told us he wanted to jolt people upon his arrival to the retreat building. This rehearsal was repeated 3 times. While these activities may just come across as awkward or strange, it is concerning that they show the beginning of Caleb's implementation of manipulation tactics. It's one thing to want to foster an uplifting... Sorry, distracted by something. One thing to want to foster an uplifting, positive environment is another thing to use cultish tactics and mechanically rehearse certain behavioral cues in order to manipulate people. I have met a number of excellent, genuine individuals through my work with CPI who I am so glad to call friends. It saddens me to see these people unknowingly used for Caleb's own personal gain, rather than have their talents as a political activist be used for authentic anti-imperialist purposes. All of us were brought together because of an interest in building a strong and compassionate political community. The ambitions of one self-interested person should not supersede the political goals of all of us. That's something that I wanted to say about this that I found really kind of fun. It seems quite like they've basically unionized. Like, it seems quite like the people who basically were being pushed into Caleb's cult have instead gotten together and been like, hey, we all still, like, want to help make communism, right? Like, we all still want that, right? Cool, let's just get rid of this jerk. Which is nice. I don't know, that's cool. Good for them. I hope that they stop calling people CIA agents and... satanic, because having an anti-imperialist focus is good, actually, and very healthy, but there's a lot about the ways that they've been being that is not good and healthy. I want to read just from the end of the article, so I've skipped over something that's like called corroboration by other... No, wait, there was one more cult thing. There's one other thing I wanted to read before I read the last bit. The fuck was it? There was the eye contact. No. Nat, do you remember what the other thing was that was, like, weird behavior that he had them doing? Do you know what I'm talking about?
It was, like, deep listening. Maintaining eye contact constantly.
No, I've had that one already. Got the dreams.
About the dreams.
I've got the dreams. I already did that one, yeah. No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's chill. We don't need it. So. Wait, did we ever do the duck? Did we ever even read the duck thing? Shit. Hang on a second. I think I skipped over the duck. I got distracted. Someone asked explicitly that we mentioned the duck thing. There was a really, really weird... Yes, okay, cool. This was from the member who he had, like, who he pressured into doing sex work to keep the organization afloat, and then became a client when she was doing sex work. So this was that's not been censored very well. Yeah. Can you remind me why the boatmaster needed to spank the last duck every day to keep him from getting lost and hurting himself? The one time he decides to avoid his punishment, he's isolated from his family and almost killed. If the boatmaster doesn't spank the duck will be like a sailboat without a rudder, directionless, alone, and with nowhere to go. My guy is so weird. He's just such a strange little boy. I guess he had her read a book about a boatmaster and a duck. Is it like a kid's? It sounds like it's a kid's, but I don't fucking know. I don't, whatever. So fucking weird. Right. There's a final section here which is called Going Forward, because I just think it's interesting to kind of know what people are expecting and planning and going forward, in like getting rid of Caleb Maupin from their organization. But also, yeah, I also find this interesting because, like, I would like to keep a distant eye on this, because in right-wing culty circles, It's purely that if one cult leader is gone, it's time for another cult leader, because ultimately their politics and their ideology is just a death cult, and they love like they love a hero basically, whereas what Caleb has done is implemented a very similar structure, but he's like selling socialism to people. He's like selling the idea of communism, because ultimately like he's recognized that if you do like sell communism to people, that it's something people are going to be fucking into, because it's good. Class consciousness is actually cool as hell. I'm just really curious what's going to happen for them going forward. So going forward, all of us who are brought together by the ideals we stand for must continue to fight for them. We must not allow charlatans who abuse our comrades to be in any position of leadership. If we are serious about what we claim to stand for, we cannot make excuses for this kind of behavior. This is not about unfair demonization or cancel culture. This is about preventing this kind of abuse from happening within our ranks and against our comrades. An organization so tainted by this kind of abuse and dishonesty cannot be repurposed. Even though it might seem like an easier option to simply continue CPI without Caleb Maupin leading it, it is really not possible to separate CPI as an organization from the image of Caleb Maupin. Completely agree. Good job. Completely agree. His profile picture is literally him in front of the logo of it. Also, he called it CPI, and I really insist about this one. He definitely called it CPI so that people would mistake CP USA, the Communist Party, for CPI USA, right? I'm really sure about that, and so they shouldn't carry on using that brand. Anyway, something new will come about which will not be tainted by this, and which can be a true vehicle for fighting for optimistic socialism and anti-imperialism. As far as what Caleb Maupin can do, the first thing he should do is own up to his abuses, admit that what we have laid out in this document is true, and not to come up with ridiculous lies or slander us or tarnish our motivations for bringing this corruption to light. A prerequisite for Caleb Maupin to do what is right would be for him to own up to everything and not try to lie about those who expose this abuse, which he already did. Caleb Maupin must not attempt to be in a leadership position or have authority over others, especially youth. At the end of the day, it's up to him as to which way he will go, but it should be abundantly clear to anyone reading this that Caleb needs to get help for his issues. We also want to provide support to other members of CPI, and we know that you don't have to share any blame for Caleb Maupin's abuses. We must not let this crisis dishearten us. We should realize by resolving this situation ourselves and not allowing it to be hostile political forces that brought this scandal to light, we avoided an even worse potential disaster. Yo, shout out to hostile political forces. That's me. I got a mention in this. Whatever comes out of this crisis, we should have confidence that we will all continue to be comrades and work together to fight for what we know to be true. If you'd like to get in contact, and then they've left their email, and then they've if you have any evidence of Caleb's further abuse, please come forward. Yeah, there we go. And that's the article. And I'm gonna take a short break. Looking forward to reading through some people's thoughts. The latter half of the stream is going to be much more of a chat, so chat with me. Let's hang out and chat. I'm going to play some Shadow of the Colossus. I'm working on my speedrun. I'm practicing some exploits that I saw from the world record version. And, yeah, but that'll be in about 10 minutes. I really need to go to the bathroom. Everyone else, please remember to drink water, go to the bathroom, take any medication you need. I'll see you in like 10 minutes. Cool. Oh, and if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. Okay, cool. Hey everyone, I'm back. I'm ready to play some Shadow of the Colossus. I'm gonna work on some exploits. I'm glad we're done. I'm glad we're done reading that, cause it sucks. It's a bad time, honestly. And yeah, I'm ready to practice for my speedrunning and chat with everyone who's still around who wants to chat about what we've been chatting about. Something that I want to bring up, and I don't know. Other people who are around, who are in chat, who've been aware of the whole situation the whole time, might have their own examples of this. But every conservative accusation is a confession. And, as I said before, at some point, Maupin was definitely actually accusing Mildred, or retweeting someone else accusing Mildred, or whatever, of grooming people, basically, you know, of making young people feel mature for their age and this kind of shit. I remember this really clearly. I also remember, and this was one that I was absolutely fucking screaming when I remembered this, was he tried to say that I had only made my conspiracy on the left video and then the cringe corner and posted online and stuff at one point because I was trying to impress Thought Slime. Which, by the way, quick tangent, I absolutely make videos with my friends in mind. Conspiracy on the left, not Mildred in mind, really. Like, not primarily, like, several people. But, like, I don't think it's bad at all to, like, with people that you have, like, a mutual working relationship with, your friends, you respect each other, to want to make art that your friends enjoy. But what Maupin was trying to... So that was just a tangent, you know. I actually just don't think it's wrong at all to make art that your friends enjoy. But what Maupin was trying to claim was that I had only made Conspiracy on the Left and only gone after him to impress Mildred. That Mildred was, like, pulling my strings and, like, controlling me into this, right? And making me look foolish. Right? And it was this very, weak attempt at, like, making us, making me feel unsure of myself or whatever. He had a lot of these really pathetic things. I remember the, like, Sophie Go Back to Mars live stream, Peter Coffin's terrible attempt at, like, this awful workshopped joke about my eyebrows, because they just hate queer people. And shit like this, right? But it was just that one in particular. I was like, that's such a weird, specific accusation. And whenever conservatives come out with, like, weird, very specific accusations, it's always a fucking confession. And that was absolutely the case here. Because, hey, check it out. Caleb has been manipulating young, impressionable people into looking foolish for him and, like, tying themselves to his reputation. And he was just imagining Mildred as, like, his arch nemesis and therefore equal and therefore the same as him. So fucking wild. Such absolute fucking wild shit. Oh, you know what I've done? I already fucked this up. Sorry, I'm not doing a run right now anyway. But I'm just practicing doing the exploits. There's this, like, wall jump I saw over here. I'm gonna beef this a ton of times. So what you're about to watch, by the way, if you're unfamiliar with, like, if anyone here is unfamiliar with speedrunning and for how you practice for speedrunning, you're just gonna watch me completely fucking fail and eat shit and be unable to do this a ton of times right now. And then, eventually, you might get to see me do it, like, 1 or 2 times. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is get up to full speed, go into this wall, yeah, and then shoot up the wall and, like, jump onto the ledge. But I need to be able to do it, like, every time. Anyway, I'm practicing doing shit like that so that when I do my speed run again, I can get it faster. I've gotten down to a competitive time. My PB was like 2 hours 43 minutes, and now just the other day I was able to get like near to it again with like yesterday I was able to get like a 2 hours 47 minutes. Oh, that was nearly it. And so I'm gonna work from there because my tendency tends to be like get fast at playing the game normal, right? Including anything you can observe for yourself as an exploit before you like learn exploits that other speedrunners have actually used. So now that I've got like a competitive time again, I'm trying to copy some exploits that I've seen from the world record. Yeah. So I remember him saying that weird fucking shit. I remember that weird fucking shit where he was like, Thought Slime is just manipulating Sophie, a young impressionable trans woman, into doing this stuff. And I was like, where did that fucking come from? And it turns out it was just projection again and again and again. Again and a fucking again and again and again. So weird. So fucking weird. Such a weird fucking dude. There was a whole bunch of focus on like Mildred appealing to people who have mental health issues. Caleb's been like deliberately preying on people with mental health issues, like really vulnerable people over and over again. I don't know. There's just so much going on here. One of my favorite projections from Maupin has been the intelligence agency shit, because like the more we've looked into it, the more it's like the more obvious it is that Maupin has like a bajillion ties to the intelligence community. Like, even outside of him obviously being like a Russian propagandist, like the dude worships LaRouche and has been trying to emulate and copy LaRouche his entire career. And LaRouche was famously a reactionary, anti-Semitic pseudo-communist who accused everyone else of being CIA agents, who invented the modern cultural Marxism conspiracy theory, who was, while calling everyone else CIA agents, was himself feted to the fucking gills. And like... oh, here we go. Ah, shit, so close. And so it's just wild. Not only just like does he idolize and try to emulate LaRouche, but he actually worked for a guy who like represented LaRouche in court, a guy called Ramsey Clark. This is also, by the way, one of his instances of being feted to the gills. Ramsey Clark literally ran COINTELPRO for 2 years. Literally ran COINTELPRO for 2 fucking years. Like, so much. There's just so much. It just goes on and on and on. It's what? So much projection, it's in 8K. Absolutely. Abso-fucking-lutely. It's so much. Orc Goth. Thought I'd been here before, but apparently not. Hello. Hello, Orc Goth. Welcome to the stream. Oh my god. I'm getting it so close so many times. I'm not even doing a complete, like, eat shit, just smack into the wall thing. I'm just, like, I am running up the wall. I'm just, like, beefing it. Not that time. Not that, nope, there I ate shit. Never mind. What is COINTELPRO? COINTELPRO, or the Counterintelligence Program, was a large operation by the FBI. Basically to surveil and work against, do counterintelligence against subaltern groups. So like groups who are meaningfully different from the ideology of America, and the government figures pose some kind of threat. So it's important to understand that COINTELPRO would also be doing like all intelligence agencies would also be doing some amount of work to like surveil the KKK and neo-Nazis and shit, but like, you know, a lot of what gets focused on and fair, like, for it to be focused on is them going after, like, the Black Panthers, the Communist Party, and so on. And when we talk about counterintelligence, like, counterintelligence is everything from, like, the surveillance of the people in these groups and these activists to the kind of ops they would do. Like, there's a famous instance, like, the FBI sent of counterintelligence is the FBI sent Martin Luther King a letter saying that he was a disappointment to all black people and was harmful to the movement, and furthermore he was probably gay and he should kill himself. And that, like, that kind of thing is like a class, that's like, why can't I get this jump? So frustrating. And sometimes this will be cloaked, sometimes this will be cloaked in like I think that letter is disguised as being from someone who does care about civil rights, like a hi fellow black man, but like should I really beef that one? But sometimes it will just be completely like straightforward about what it's being, because obviously, like, the power of the state is also just like terrifying, and like if you want to intimidate activists and subaltern groups out of doing what they're doing, like making it clear that they're like actually being surveilled by the state is like often an effective enough thing on its own. In like, yeah, but yeah, the fucking guy that Caleb boasts about having worked for, Ramsey Clark, ran COINTELPRO, right? It's just shit like this. Where the dude goes around accusing everyone else of being like, having like a nebulous connection to the CIA, like, the Congress for Cultural Freedom is funding you or whatever fucking shit. Oh, on the Congress for Cultural Freedom, one brief sidebar on Pepper Coyote. I just want to say, Nazi furs, fuck off. That's all. But he'll say, Maupin was going around saying this, like, they're all, it's all the Congress for Cultural Freedom pumping this money into people, like, into the funding of voices that are completely unchallenging to the liberal status quo. And then it's like, you worked for the guy who ran COINTELPRO for 2 years. Anyway. Yeah, Maupin's gone. Maupin's finally gone. See you, Space Cowboy. Some people I saw in chat were wondering about what he's going to do next. I saw people theorizing about him going on the right-wing grift. That's an interesting possibility, I think. Yeah, I could see it happening, maybe. I mean, he already obviously just, like, loves MAGA. I don't know how... It's possible that he will try and get involved just, like, entirely in a MAGA base, but just doing National Socialism. I really can't see, like, perhaps Caleb will simply go back to RT. I mean, yeah. I mean, maybe. Genuinely think he'll disappear and just reappear in some random group that won't care about his negative credentials. Yeah, like if he's doing National Socialism. Oh my god, Wanda, why can't you get on this ledge? Anyway. Maupin's gonna become even redder and try again. That's true, it's like when you nearly kill a Saiyan. His power level will just increase and he'll come back redder. No, no. Wanda, get on the ledge already. How I left the alt left. He's definitely going on Alex Jones's show again, no doubt in my mind. Well, I mean, Alex Jones is in some fucking hot water as well right now with the trial going on. We'll see if there's an Alex Jones's show to go on in a little while. Genuinely, they're kind of getting fucked. Thing is, if he pops his head back up anywhere vaguely left, this shit will just hit him again. His only choice to be politically viable is probably the right. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, kinda. Right? Actually, he'll just swing into transphobia and general fascism. Yeah. Yeah. I feel bad for his wife. He does not seem like he is nice to her. I know all we've seen is from the middle of a fight, and people have fights, but also, like, it does not seem like he is nice to her. I hope she divorces him immediately following all of this stuff. Just horrible. Yes, he's married. we keep saying this and people keep on being surprised. every single time you mention that he's married, there are like 3 or 4 people in chat who are like, he's married? How long will it be before Joe Rogan has him on? Joe Rogan would never have him on. Joe Rogan is would find him way too embarrassing. You know, he's much more in the roster of Alex Jones's kind of collection of kooky creeps. Yeah, like Alex Jones has all sorts of absolutely bizarre wingnuts on. Joe Rogan has Alex Jones on, but he would never have the people who Alex Jones has on, you know? I wonder if Caleb tries to launch a TikTok and rebuild. Oh my god. Yeah. Yeah, this is just wild stuff. This is just wild stuff. I could have grabbed the ledge that time. One of the wildest things I noticed as I was reading the testimonies of the JBV crowd was the way that Maupin talked to them was near identical to the way a now very ex-friend tried to drag me into his weird right-wing pagan community, which isn't shocking so much as it is, good lord, these goons are the same everywhere. Yes. Yeah. Well, there's a reason that cult tactics are just an identifiable set of behaviors. There's just like some things that like socially kind of work on I mean, the tragic thing is like just work on human beings, really. Like I was gonna say on like impressionable people or people without a sense of self, or, you know, some kind of characteristic, but like the really distressing thing about cults is that like human beings are just social animals, and like if there's a basis of like people who care, and the person hasn't already been like forewarned against the cult, like, yeah, like practically anyone can wind up in a cult. It's really distressing, but it's true. Obviously cults will prey on people who are more vulnerable and people who don't have a sense of direction, and etc. You know, all the people that the army will prey on, all the people that police recruitment ads are targeted towards, you know. But that's just because they're the easiest targets, right? But yeah, there's a reason that they just are like, we are just social animals, and like cult tactics work on us because we just, when there's just a ton of people saying like, you need to think this way, you need to act this way, like people just do by and large like are vulnerable to it. Yeah, which is sad. Is the army a cult? It's not a cult. Sociologists and teachers in sociology degrees stopped using the word cult after a while because of this exact problem, where like you can look at like cult recruitment tactics, and you can look at horrible predatory behaviors and these kinds of structures, but like you will just really quickly end up pointing to practically everything as a cult, in the same way that you learn about like pyramid schemes, and then it's like, wait, is capitalism a pyramid scheme? Yeah, kinda is the answer. Kinda. Like, yeah. Anyway, R.I.P. Burger Boy. He's eating shit in a Burger King in hell now. Also, speaking of someone actually literally dying, apparently Alexander Dugin's daughter died. Apparently someone tried to assassinate Alexander Dugin and killed his daughter instead. That's what I heard. I don't know if I'm misreporting that right now. I probably should have checked that before saying about it on stream. But, like, yeah, just, kind of a wild time. Something to build our conspiracy theories around. Something to, clearly they are coming after the nationalist Bolsheviks. Clearly Maupin's thing is part of a soft power dossier briefing against by the fucking... Who fucking cares? You can't have a conversation with a former Marine and not come away thinking it's a cult, regardless of whether or not their personal experience was positive for them. Yeah, exactly. It's like, yeah, and I've spoken to enough former Marines who are like, no, it was really bad, and just like, kind of just said it was a cult, like explicitly. But yeah. It's not clear that she wasn't the target. Okay, sorry for misrepresenting that then. Yeah. Dugin's daughter is a chip off the old red-brown block? Okay, gotcha. Gotcha. Hey, I pulled it off again. Alright. Okay, I think I know the bit I need to target now. I think I know the part of the wall I need to throw myself at to pull it off. Andy's doing a little salute in chat for for ex-Marines who will say it is in fact just a cult. Everyone, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I would appreciate it. It's cool when I get paid for my job. Boop, 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 boop. Don't celebrate me doing it once. I need to be able to execute this repeatably. That's the problem. That's the real thing going on here. I need to be able to do this every time. It's speculated they were targeting Dugin, but he changed his mind of which car to drive last second, but it's not known. Okay, that's very interesting. That's very, very interesting. I think I'm jumping too early, which is a problem I have generally when I'm trying to execute a particular thing in video games. I tend to go too soon rather than too late. I'm just like over anticipating. Oh, yes! Okay, that was pretty fucking good. Alright. That one felt actually... That one felt actually deliberate rather than like a fluke, so that's good news. Nah, fucking beefed it immediately afterwards. Yeah, I gotta reiterate, I do think it's like... I do think it's possible, and I hold out a little hope that, like, people like Lily Goldklang or whatever, who just are communists and are just, like, interested in organizing and have been involved in this thing, which is the impression that I get from seeing stuff that she's done, like, can just ditch the conspiracy theory shit, get rid of Caleb Maupin, and that, like... you know, whatever they do next will be good, and they can stick around with the same people and actually do something that could be worthwhile, maybe. I don't know. Full, like, power to them, I say, honestly. Like, seriously, I mean it. I know that we've had beefs, but, like, yeah, I just hope they, I hope nothing but the best for them. Nat was saying that Nat was pointing out that in Keaton Mansfield's statement, he said that this whole experience has led to him no longer being a communist, which is kind of interesting. Like, I think that's, you know, that feels like it. I was saying just earlier, my tweets delete after 2 weeks, so you can't see it anymore. But I did a thread just after my Conspiracy on the Left video came out, where I said, look, we're all talking about the conspiracy left right now, but this particular iteration will not last long. Here are my predictions. And I was like, Peter Coffin will defend Caleb Maupin to the last, because the unstoppable force of their complete lack of shame will be met by the immovable object of how deeply awful Caleb Maupin is, and they will be unable to separate themselves, so just sink ever lower and ever lower. Once again, consider every opportunity to just log off and delete your account, Peter. Consider it well. You should. I said, that the CPI may well implode when the people around Caleb Maupin realize what a fucking creep he is. Like that he's trying to run a cult. And I said that Haz would separate off and just start calling Caleb Maupin and Peter Coffin soy. And all of those things have come true. All of those things have come true, but my prediction thread is gone because of my tweet deleting bot. And I'm just very sad that my excellent predictions, I called my shot so perfectly. Which also, like, I also said, like, the other place I really called my shot was just in doing a video about them being conspiracy theorists, considering that their response to the whole thing was to call me a CIA agent, call me a Satan worshipper, and say that, like, and literally make up a conspiracy theory about me and my friends, about us being, like, related to satanic cults. Like, just amazing. Just honest. I should screenshot my prediction threads. Yeah, you know what? You're right. Next time I have a prediction thread, I'm gonna save screenshots of it, so that if there is the opportunity for me to point out how very, very, very smart I am, I can take it. They just immediately responded to my conspiracy on the left video by making up conspiracy theories about me. It was just fucking wild. I'm fine with Coffin being exactly where they are. It's like a signpost. If they're friends with, if someone's friends with Coffin, I know almost word for word exactly what I'm in for. Wow. You know what, Twin Rabbit? I respect that. I respect that. Is Haz fully separate now? I thought he still claimed to be the only one Maupin likes. I don't know actually. I maybe I need to check in with the boy a little bit more. The last thing I saw from him was saying that if you are a man who has claimed to be in love, you're a cringe simp, which, I guess Haz would know all about being a cringe simp, so that's I respect his encyclopedic knowledge on the behaviors of cringe simps. I just found that so funny. I was like, did he, like, real talk for a second, did Samira meet him in real life and find out how fucking crazy he smells and just like and dump him, and then his immediate and he's just like if you've ever said that you're in love, you're a simp. Because that's like that's fully the energy that he's giving there. Yeah, I don't emo Haz. Yes, emo Haz arc, absolutely. Yeah, I don't know if for sure. I think my impression was that Haz is going around calling them soy now, because he has his MRA boys to worry about. But I don't know. Fellas, is it gay to ever care about anyone? Yeah, it's gay to love women. That's why I do it. I love to be gay. I'm gay, and that's why I love women so much. That's just true. That's just tautological. My friend has a ritual of watching Haz's mecha tanky rant as a way to cheer up. I don't know Haz's mecha tanky rant. Someone please, mecha tanky? That sounds amazing. That sounds absolutely fucking total punch the sofa in the background energy. Yeah, seriously. Mecha tanky. I'm familiar with the Europussy rant, or how to put it better, late stage capitalism rant, the one where he goes on about Chapeau Trap House. I'm familiar with It's Piss? No! I'm done with women.
I can do a better impression.
What else? What else? I mean, I watched his whole speech at the CPI conference. Hey, greetings from Germany. How are you? I hope you're doing well. It's my birthday today, and I wanted to ask if you have any balloons, and if you would break them with your fingernails. I would be very happy if you could fulfill my wish. Would you afterwards also leave a subscription and maybe even a bit of money if you can fulfill my wish? No.
That's new.
Hello from Germany. It's actually my birthday, and you should give me money. It's not my birthday, but you should just give me money. Very specific request. Just very specific. Pop balloons with my fingernails? Listen, Luna Pop. I have a PayPal. And Twitter DM requests are open. But I'm not going to give you money. That's not happening. Oh no, Caleb found the chat and he has a new kink. Anyway. God, Caleb fucking Maupin. I can't believe I had to read Caleb Maupin talking about his red and bruised bottom. Oh, jeez. Is this a Bob's Burgers reference? It does read like Bob's Burgers. Oh, okay. I don't think you had to. Andy just said, I can't believe I had to read Caleb Maupin talking about his red and bruised bottom. And Andy said, I don't think you had to. Oh, jeez. I mean, she's right, and she should say it. I do this to myself. I don't think I had to watch all the CPI speeches, and I don't think I had to watch, like, hours and hours of this fucking clown's content to explain to everyone what a cringe conspiracy theorist he is. But I did. And why did I do that? Because I care about warning people about... No, it's because of money. Give me money. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I don't fucking do this for free. Fuck you. I need the money. Give me the money. That's why. Oh, God. Oh, God. Anyway, it's been kind of a crazy time on the conspiracy left, right? Like, has splitting off and calling people soy, has declaring all love gay, edgy reactionary furry joins the CPI, immediately gets cancelled and kicked out of furry events, and then Caleb Maupin gets outed as a predator and a serial abuser. Fucking wild shit. Someone should check in on George Galloway. I'm just like, is there... What's up? Are they actually the serious anti-imperialists, and are they actually being targeted and taken down? Is that what's going on right now? It's a widespread campaign to defeat the conspiracy left, the only true communists left who are a real threat to the imperial order. Still in awe that Maupin's bunch of losers got Austin DSA, Austin Antifa, and Austin Red Guards to all agree on something. True. That's true. The worrying thing is imagining something like CPI that had a bunch of impressionable people but wasn't run by a fucking clown. Yeah, I mean, that's what I've been saying. That's what I've been saying. That's what I said that was the whole point of the firefighter bit in the video. Like, you know, this is all a controlled demonstration, was what I was trying to, like, really give the impression of. Like, all of this is, like, it's fine. You know, it's literally, you know, it's cringe and they have bad takes, but like, it's not. I was gonna say it's not hurting anyone, but we just read a really harrowing bunch of accounts. You know, yeah, they're hurting the people who they're directly exploiting, but other than that, like, you know, and obviously fucking selling dipshits selling ivermectin. But like, yeah, but like, but like, yeah, they're not gonna gain populism. They're not gonna like gain traction in that way. But someone could, and that is alarming because like everything is gonna swing more class conscious now. Because you know what we've had with Trump and the general rise of the far right is like an awakening. It is like the beginning of an awakening of class consciousness, and then you can see that in the reaction with Bernie, right? Like at the same time that Trump was gaining ground, it's because like material conditions are fucking getting worse, right? And then like the same time that Trump was gaining ground, but didn't actually win the popular vote. Like the right wing response to this stuff is to get more fashy because like fascism is almost like a, you know, has this like garbled understanding of materialism, or has this like garbled understanding of I'm gonna move on to practicing a different exploit for a little bit, and I'll come back to the horse jump. Has almost this like garbled understanding of materialism that it is just like through the lens of like patriarchy or white supremacy or whatever, because it's oh shit, the exploit is over here. I need to jump onto this. I need to jump, nope. And I need to jump this way. Oh god, this one's gonna take a while to practice. Yeah, you know, because ultimately, like, fascists, it's the counter-revolutionary force, right? The revolution is the fundamental rearranging of social relations, sometimes with violence, and fascists are the response to that, where they look at some, you know, fascists, monarchists, capitalist libertarians, for that matter, like, are all people looking at the part of the way something works and trying to like keep that in place because they want it, and like basically make things stay how they are now but more so. And that's what the counter-revolution is all about. Like if the revolution is the rearrangement of social relations, you got people who are like, no, I like how social relations are, right? And they're kind of this just this like wild willful denial where they're like, no, things are wrong, yes, but only because they're not more like they already were to begin with, you know? And okay, I think I might be able to consistently pull this one off now. Yeah, okay, looks like I can. Okay, I'm feeling pretty confident about that one. I'm gonna go back to the horse jump. You know, and it's an awakening of class consciousness in the sense that it's an awakening that something is wrong. You know what I mean? There's an awakening to the fact that something is wrong that spawned the popularity of both Trump and Bernie. And the DNC absolutely rat-fucked everyone by making sure that Bernie couldn't possibly be the response to Trump. And Biden was able to get in off the back of like how much more wrong Trump was making everything. But yeah, I think there is an awareness of the way, not just the fact that something's wrong, but an awareness that's spreading now of the ways in which people. Would you take part in a games done quickly once you've learned the run? Honestly, yeah, absolutely. I would probably spend the entire time talking about communism, but like, yeah. Like just in between exploits, I'd be like, yeah, and you need to come off the horse here and hit the wall, and the kind of long crack that you can see sort of just right from the right of the ledge. Anyway, where I think that the Bolsheviks really went wrong, that's what I would do. Anyway, god damn, the horse jump is way harder than the bunny hop up there. Whole cost of living crisis is affecting more and more people, even middle class people. Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thank you for putting middle class in quotes, because it is a fucking capitalist bourgeois illusion. Like, the middle class does not fucking exist. It's just, it's purely denoting the people who are being, like, propagandized to be class traitors. It's purely denoting the people who are being requested by the bourgeoisie to act against the interests of the majority of people. You know what I mean? Like in the UK, right? Like, homeowners are the middle class, and it's like, those homeowners could work on, like, a fucking factory floor, but owning a home rather than renting will make a huge difference to your politics. Anyway. Shit. Middle class equals libs? I mean, no, but also yes. There are some wild ass, like, middle class libertarians, for one. There are also plenty of middle class fascists. I don't think that it's like the majority of people are liberals, you know? The majority of people are liberals, and, like, most people know that they're not going to get to be super rich, so the majority of people are also, like, middle class aspirant. Like, most people are like, maybe I'll get to own a home and retire when I'm old. Anyway. Okay. Oh, fucking hell. I should have pressed jump. Yeah, I think that there's this awakening to everything in that way, and I think that, like, you know, the right wing is going to the North American, as it, America, USA and Canada, region of politics, their right wing is absolutely responding to this with what, you know, I think is literally best described with nationalistic socialism. Like, they are starting to, like, as they know people get more aware of the ways in which things are wrong, they are starting to, like, watch what Jordan Peterson's been up to recently. Like, he's literally talking about, like, environmental protections for overfishing and stuff while denying climate change. It's so bizarre, but, like, he's doing that with an emphasis on, like, protection to keep those ecosystems thriving so that people in the imperial core get to enjoy those things, you know? It's Fortress Europe, it's imperial core lockdown, it's death cult shit. And it's being a preacher of the apocalypse. It's preaching for the side of what is causing and bringing on the apocalypse, in response to the visible results of the apocalypse happening. I mean, a simpler way to put all this would be to say he's a counter-revolutionary, because, again, like, if the definition from David Graeber is the fundamental rearrangement of social relations, then, like, you know, there's the revolution, that's that, and then there's the counter-revolution where people are trying to keep things the same, and, you know, that's Peterson or whatever. But yeah, like, the right wing is leaning towards this kind of, leaning towards some more socialistic policies because of an understanding that they know is there in their audiences of what is actually wrong, right? I mean, it's been there for a long time. One of the reasons that one of the reasons, there are a bunch, why I oppose universal basic income is, like, Douglas Murray or Charles Murray? Charles Murray. Charles Murray, the guy who fucking wrote the bell curve, is the biggest proponent of UBI. Like, there isn't a way around where the currently existing governments, where capitalist governments bring in UBI that isn't just absolute authoritarian nightmare, just absolutely fucking terrifying. There genuinely isn't, and, like, the simplest, fastest way I can explain it is, if you think that because when you get to the casino every day, they give you $200 of chips, that they are not exploiting you, you are not getting fucked, and that the house doesn't always win, you're just a rube. And I can't, like, it's not that I don't think it would help people, like, on a massive scale right away. I think it would, and I think that's exactly the trap. In the same way that Margaret Thatcher helped a whole bunch of people to become homeowners, right? so they would become middle class, specifically so that they would let to people, so they would then be landlords, so that their class interests would change, right? It's a very, very deliberate gambit to save capitalism, and capitalism cannot and should not be saved, right? Charles Murray, by the way, specifically wants UBI because he says that it will bring more people back into Christianity, and it will save the traditional marriage, and he also believes it will stop miscegenation. Just for the record. Anyway. I managed to do the horse jump and the bunny hop in a row. I'm pretty proud of that. Oh no, I've just remembered though, actually, doing the fucking guy... Hang on a sec. There was an exploit that I saw in the World Record Holders one that I want to try as well, where the guy did like a proper full stab. Like a proper full stab of this. Right, and it brings him down there. But you have to be running during the... Where am I? Shit, I got knocked out. No! For fuck's sake. Alright. You have to be running during the cutscene, which is the really hard bit. Dang, just got here and missed some of Sophie's educational rant. I'll repeat myself. UBI is a bad idea. It's there to save capitalism. Capitalism cannot and should not be saved. If you think that the casino is not exploiting you just because but just because it gives you $200 in free chips every day when you get there, you're a rube, and also the house always wins. It's been designed to work that way. A market is a system for exploitation. In a market, there must be people who win and there must be people who lose. For there to be people who are profiting in a market, there must be people who are making losses. And so perpetuating a market, even if, again, the casino gives you $200 in free chips every day, is just perpetuating that exploitation. Anyway. UBI, it's bad, folks. I got a lot of this thinking from, and strongly recommend the book, Automation and the Future of Work by Aaron Benenough. Very good, very short book. I would also make a point to people who read books often. It is the kind of book that you don't just get what the point is a third of the way through and then feel like you can put it down. It is the kind of book where the points that are being made stack on top of each other and get better throughout and build like an ongoing cohesive argument. It's a really fucking good book, and I learned a lot. I just learned a ton, and now I'm economist pilled. So I'm about 35% more insufferable. Anyway. A lot of people are try to explain what's wrong with UBI, and are like, if they give you $300, then your landlord will just put your rent up by $300. And it's not that that's not true, but it's also like, if the change as radical as giving everyone $300 a month were possible, well, sorry, it is possible. Like, we're gonna be done, rather, right? Why do you still have a landlord? You know what I mean? Like, if that level of change can be done, and is gonna be done, what are you still doing paying rent? Anyway. I want to start over because I want to try and get... I want to see if I can get the horse jump and the bunny hop in a row first time. I don't think I'm going to get the horse jump, to be clear. I think I'm not going to be able to do it. In which case, I'll just carry on practicing. And so, right, this like shift to an awareness of where the problem actually comes from means that we will get much more leftism, we will get much more communism, we will get much more people identifying with these politics and conspiracy theorists. The title of the book, Reasonor, is Automation and the Future of Work by Aaron Benenough. Ugh. Couldn't help but check. Apparently Maupin was scheduled to be on Galloway's chat show thingy today, but he was quietly dropped from the ads for it yesterday. fucking hysterical. Awesome. We love to see it. There will be so many more people who are identifying with communist politics, right? Unfortunately, as I've said about cult tactics, and as I said in my video, Conspiracy on the Left, everyone is actually... Do I have a list of recommended books? I don't, but I can recommend books on many topics. I'm just trying to remember if I included my bibliographies in my essays. I should be doing that. I should really be doing that because people appreciate that stuff. I make a point of referencing the book I'm talking about when I'm talking on a particular topic and I've gotten knowledge from a particular book in my essays. So, also on Red Planet, you know. Anyway, I beefed it. I didn't do the horse jump. So, everyone is vulnerable to cult tactics. Everyone is vulnerable to conspiracy theories. And I think it's just really important for us to remember, as much as we like to think we are fireproof, we are not. And, like, the people who peddle left-wing conspiracy theories will continue to get more and more of a hold as left-wing politics get more and more of a hold. Caleb Maupin was a fucking grifter who realized that communism sells well because communism is based and, like, people actually like it when they understand what it is. But he also knew, you know, he also has been aware that, like, other things have been selling pretty well in America recently, like white nationalism, like little dog whistles winking towards fascist politics, right? That's why he incorporates all of that shit in everything that he does all the time. It's all just a sales strategy. It's all just a pitch because he's a fucking grifter. Oh, I beefed that so hard. Okay. And, you know, when it comes to conspiracy theories, the same level of complete grifter dude is at play. You know, hey, what's up?
Big Dugan update.
What's happened?
So the bomb wasn't intended for him, it was intended for his daughter, and a group has claimed responsibility saying it's a warning.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
I've just been told that the bomb was intended for Dugan's daughter and wasn't intended for him, and a group has claimed responsibility saying that it's a warning, which I think that killing someone is an interesting way of delivering a warning, but let's try quitting and doing again and see if I can get them both in a row. Jesus, that's throwing me so much. Stun locked. Hey, that was only 2 minutes 44 though. That's pretty good. I'm gonna quit out when I do this stuff so that I can see how fast I'm pulling it off. I'm gonna use the in-game timer. What was I saying about? Oh, conspiracy theories. For a while, I've been considering, like, doing a project about the Grey Zone, which is going to be a lot harder to do, because obviously, like, I don't have first-hand sources of what's going on in Syria, and, like, the more you dig into what's going on in Syria, the more you find that everyone has kind of, like, problematic or, sorry, I'm not using problematic in the way that I think people are very familiar with online slang. You know, people have flawed sources on stuff, right? And people have some degree of biases. They absolutely do. But, like, the problem when trying to push back on conspiracy theory narratives, and the problem when trying to, like, pick apart what conspiracy theorists have said... Sweet Pea, that's quite distracting. Would you mind? Sweet Pea? Thank you. When trying to pick apart that stuff is, like, often conspiracy theorists deliberately look for areas of stigmatized knowledge, right? That's what I was saying in my video. Stigmatized knowledge is as opposed to authorized knowledge. Authorized knowledge is the body of knowledge that the state does want you to learn about and kind of puts in the curriculum, basically, and makes the official version of history or whatever. Stigmatized knowledge is essentially everything else, because it can sometimes be things that are true or even, like, are very publicly admitted to because, like, the state is, you know, will admit to it because they have to or whatever. Like Operation Legacy was the example I talked about in my video. But it's still stigmatized knowledge because they don't, quote unquote, they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know. And, oh, fuck, so close. And what was I trying to say? Stigmatized knowledge. Stigmatized knowledge, the best place to learn about that would be Culture of Conspiracy by Michael Barkun. That's Barkun. Culture of Conspiracy. I also recommended earlier a really good biography of Milton William Cooper called Pale Horse Rider. So if you're looking to learn about conspiracy theories, my top 2 recommendations would be to read Culture of Conspiracy, just number 1, absolutely first. And then to take... then if you want to learn about conspiracy theorists, Milton William Cooper is a very, very influential one who's worth learning about. And then if you want more kind of academic reading, American Conspiracy Theories by J.E. Osinski and Joseph M. Parent is pretty good, but I think I would take a lot of stuff with a pinch of salt because one of them literally worked for the FBI. Which is to say that there is a bias at play, not to say that he's covering up the conspiracy theories he's involved in or some shit. And also, what was the other one called? Creating Conspiracy Theories, which is by Abarachin et al. There's actually like 10 authors. It's an academic text. Again, it has its biases because it's basically by academic liberals. But it's an okay book for learning a little bit. But yeah, Stigmatized Knowledge comes from Culture of Conspiracy by Michael Barkun. And that book is just like the absolute fucking goat if you want to learn about conspiracy theory. Like, there is truly no better place to go than Culture of Conspiracy by Michael Barkun if you want to learn about conspiracy theories, because it's just like, it has the best framework for understanding them, authorized and stigmatized knowledge, and it's also just like, it's practically like a handbook for understanding conspiracy theories. There's loads of like structural stuff I now understand about conspiracy theories that, like, so to speak, I like have a lot more expertise on the fandom lore of conspiracy theories, right? Like, lizard people come from the Hollow Earth, right? If someone in a show were like writing something about lizard people and claimed that they were aliens, I would be bothered by that as a fan of the conspiracy theory cinematic universe. Lizard people come from the Hollow Earth. They always have. Specifically snake people, most of all. Anyway, it's a great little handbook for exploring just the history of these movements and what they represent and everything. Anyway, so stigmatized knowledge, right? Because conspiracy theories tend to exist in these spaces of stigmatized knowledge, conspiracy theorists are easily able to be like, well, you're just saying that because you're repeating the mainstream narrative. You don't actually have good sources on this this topic or this piece of news or whatever, right? And so if we're looking at, say, let's look at COVID for a second, right? COVID conspiracy theories. The horse paste shit is an example where people were, like, conspiracy theorists were able to be like, well, they don't want you to know that this can be treated by this thing. They want you to take this vaccine. And you're like, okay, this all sounds like classic anti-vax shit that I've heard a million times. In a minute, you're going to start telling me about the reptilians from the Hollow Earth, right? But then they're like, okay, do you actually think ivermectin is harmful? Or have you just heard from the mainstream media that it's bad? Suddenly they're like spamming, you're in an argument in the Facebook comments, right? You're 60 years old. You only came here to look at Minion memes. And suddenly you're having this argument and they're spamming you with links to a study that says about the ways that the symptoms of COVID can be relieved by ivermectin in controlled doses in this study. And you're like, oh shit, that's really weird. I didn't know about that. Right, so we're looking at somewhere where people are uninformed, and that's a crucial thing to understand. So now taking this example to like left-wing conspiracy theories, learning about Syria, which is a fucking war zone, a literal fucking war zone, right? And like a lot of people who have literally been there can't talk about it accurately, either for a large range of bias and political allegiance to different nation states, or for just the basic fact of being a single human being trying to analyze and understand what's going on in a fucking war zone, right? And then you know, you're there in your Discord, in your Telegram, in your fucking Signal group chat with the homies from the squad, and Sock and Leaf are having an argument about imperialism and Assad, and Sock is like, no, Assad is a brutal dictator who has used fucking sarin gas on his own people. No, what was it he used? White phosphorus on his own people. And Leaf is like, you're just repeating imperialist lies right now. You should go and get a fucking job at Bellingcat, Sock, you stooge. And links an article from the Grey Zone. Now, this article from the Grey Zone is telling you that independent investigations by human rights watchdogs that had previously said that there were chemical weapons used by Assad against his own people in Syria have now like walked back their statements and are saying that they were pressured to make those statements by the U.S. U.S. Foreign Secretary. And you're like, shit, maybe I think Sock is an imperialist stooge. Damn. Yeah, go get a job at Bellingcat, you stooge. And this is because you don't know what's going on in Syria. You don't know that. You're not informed on it. You don't have this information. And so when someone is able to suddenly provide convincing looking credentials, right, that appeal to the way that you look for evidence for things. In other words, appeal to an emotional narrative that you hold to be true. For example, the American government lies about things, especially where socialist leaders or leaders who are part of a tradition of socialism in a region are involved. This is an emotional narrative that you know to be true. So the emotional narrative you know to be true is America has fought back humanity's progress for the last 70 years and held us from achieving communism as hard as they possibly can. Hey, Thought Slime is rating with a party of 54. We've been talking about the Caleb Maupin news. I am practicing exploits for a Shadow of the Colossus speedrun. Right now I'm talking through how left-wing conspiracy theories work and why the Grey Zone in particular is so dangerous. If you're not familiar, I'm Sophie. I'm Sophie from Mars. You should be familiar if you're a fan of Thought Slime, because I do the Cringe Corner with Mildred on the reg. Not on the reg. However, we do them. There is no regular schedule whatsoever, but the latest two that we've recorded are very good, and I'm looking forward to when she's edited them. Hey Mildo, hey Raiders. Anyway. Oh, goddamn. Oh man, goddamn. My point is, there's an emotional narrative that you hold to be true, right? America has held back the progress of humankind by 70 years because they are the global counter-revolution, and the American government will never and could never atone for their crimes by stopping us all from just being communist already. This emotional narrative of why America is bad sees you through a helpful understanding of modern history that simplifies down a million tiny facets of nuance and understanding and data points that you don't really need to understand for the purposes that you are engaging with them, which is as a commie, anarcho, pinko, stinko, rad lib, ultra leftist, whatever. I don't fucking... You have this emotional narrative, and finding examples of regimes that America has opposed is compounding on that emotional narrative. So when you then hear about this regime, that if you learn more about the regime, you see that they've like claimed a kind of allegiance to the Ba'athist party and like to Baathism in general, which is like Arabic socialism, right? So you're like, okay, well they're part of this tradition. They at least have some kind of nominal allegiance to socialism, and America does oppose them, and American-backed institutions like the UN do oppose them. Suddenly you find yourself very vulnerable to Assadist talking points, right? You find it that suddenly people who maybe know more than you about the situation in Syria are able to like sell you all sorts of fucking guff about the situation in Syria because they're playing on an emotional narrative, right? Okay, here we go. Let's do it. Come on. No. I really need to get this horse jump down. Everyone, if you're enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I'd really appreciate it. I'm doing my job right now. I love when I get paid for my job. It's really fucking cool and dandy. Update the CPI and CYNA are both being dissolved. Awesome. I love to see it. We all love to see it, folks. What was I going to say? Yeah, so that's why I've been kind of considering about doing an update to Conspiracy on the Left where I specifically talk about the gray zone, because like the stuff that they put out, the remarkable gibberish that they launder is really dangerous to people. And I had multiple people when I was making the Conspiracy on the Left video being like, all of this is great. I love you dunking on Borger Boy. I love anyone making fun of Peter Coffin. George Galloway is so cringe. Jimmy Dawes selling horse paste. But you've got it wrong on the gray zone. They genuinely are telling the truth about Syria. And it was like, no. Like, you know what I mean? It was just really distressing. It was just really distressing because it's like, these are people who I think are politically astute and correct. But like, you know, guilt by association, it's such a funny thing, right? When people say guilt by association, what they're having, I believe, is an always-never conversation. Here's an always-never conversation. One second. Okay, let's pick someone in chat. Pamphleteer. You never do the dishes, is the thing. Andy, you never do the dishes. And you're going to respond to me by saying, you want me to always do the dishes. I don't. I just know that you never do the dish. The truth is that you don't do the dishes enough. And I'd like you to do the dishes a little bit more. But what I'm saying is that you never do the dishes. And what you're hearing is that I want you to always do the dishes, right? And this is an always-never conversation, right? And I think that's what's at play with when people go, you're just doing guilt by association, right? It's like the specific use of like pointing to someone that someone knows who's done something bad and then saying you are guilty of their crimes is not the thing that is at play. And the person who is saying this is guilt by association is treating it as if any time that someone knowing someone bad and being close in with someone who's fucking awful is brought up, that's guilt by association, right? And therefore, we should never do that. But you can critique the gray zone on their own demerits, and you should. And that's kind of what I'm saying is I think I might just do a gray zone video, but I think it would be a lot harder. It would involve a lot more research. Not that I haven't already like pointed out what's fucking wrong with them in Conspiracy on the Left. It's just that like I find them so deeply insidious and scary. Like, they are, like, they're the Sean of the conspiracy left spread tube. They're this, like, they're so, like, focused and put out, like, this, like, seemingly high quality content to people who don't understand what they're looking at, and it's just riddled with all of this, like, nuanced gibberish. This and it's like, big picture, you can do guilt by association, right? You can just be like, big picture, these dudes are on Jimmy Dore's show every fucking day. Big picture, they worked together with Caleb Maupin to claim that Abby from Philosophy Tube is, like, paid by the royal family to promote vaccines, right? And it's easy then to just be like, well, Grey Zone are, you know, they're kind of COVID denial. Like, they're kind of engaging in COVID denial. They're like, anti-vax. Easy peasy, game over. But I just think that specifically the issue of Syria and Assad apologism is the really, like, getting into the weeds on that, I think, is both worthwhile and is going to be really fucking hard, and I would need to find a time when I had, like, gotten a lot of stuff that I want to get done now done. Did I miss something about Sean? I was trying to say that Sean is a resource to all of us, and we build off of his work and stand on the shoulders of giants. Where Sean is more like Black and White Zone. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's just so frustrating because, again, that they are trading on that idea, right? They are literally trading on that idea of nuance and understanding. But, like, their coverage only has one flavor to it, which is the US State Department is fooling you all. You are all stooges. You are all imperialists. And, in fact, I am the cleverest boy. Me, Max Blumenthal, the cleverest boy. What was I going to do? What was I going to say? Oh, Christ. Hey, Chellax, good to see you. What the fuck was I gonna say? I'm considering now just, like, taking my hypothetical from what I was saying just now and making that into the script about Grey Zone. Just doing a little bit of an Innuendo Studios and just being like, so you're in the Signal group chat with the comrades from the squad, and Sock and Leaf are having an argument about imperialism, and the topic gets onto the Syrian civil war. Get little animated dudes like Ian does. That would be really cute. Okay, that's two nearly flawlessly in a row. I really need to get this horse jump, like, to be an every time thing, though. I really, really need to get this horse jump to work every time. Part of the worst thing about Grey Zone is that, like, people will, like, that a bunch of leftists will forget and forgive that they were doing COVID denialism and vaccine and anti-vax shit. They will absolutely. Like, it's really annoying. Because, again, like, the appeal to an emotional narrative is so strong that, like... Oh, Christ, that was a bad one. The appeal to an emotional narrative is so strong that when you are then... The important thing to remember is that hashtag Sock is a stooge. Sock. That imperialist stooge. I've lost my train of thought. Oh, fuck! I was nearly doing it then. I pressed a button and made it bad. I really had the momentum going. Fuck's sake. Okay. Because the appeal to an emotional narrative is so strong that people will absolutely just be like, I want to believe that, you know, the US is unfairly targeting a socialist regime and that Assad is that, despite being, you know, despite being not in any way socialist. The anti-imperialist conspiracy theorists have, like, really tied themselves in such a knot. It's just like, You literally have Putin giving a speech that's like that's explicitly anti-communist, and Caleb Maupin goes onto his live stream and is like, "This is a huge win for communists." The Ukraine war is great because Putin talked about Lenin and Stalin in his last speech. He never does that. Oh, God. The enemy of my enemy is not always my friend. Yeah, absolutely. Threat simplification. Oh, fuck. It's the camera that fucks me on this one. Like, genuinely, the camera swinging around the way it does. Oh, there we go, I got it. It's what makes it so hard to pull off the bunny hop. The enemy of my enemy is probably also my enemy, statistically speaking. I don't know. If you got a lot of enemies. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel I want to talk more about the gray zone. I want to do a little video because, like, really digging into, like, how fucking insidious they are, I feel like it would be so worthwhile. I also do not feel like I have the energy or the time. And I also feel like I looked back over Conspiracy on the Left, and other than I wish I could re-record it after I get my FFS, no notes. Like, it's a good fucking video, and I think I explain everything really, really well. The framing device is awesome. You know, the costumes, it's all fun. It's all good and fun. The animations obviously are amazing. Shout out to Nat. And I just, like, you know, if people would watch that and listen and take away the important general lessons about conspiracy theories and not just, like, you know, memeing on Caleb Maupin for being a Borger boy or whatever, then that would be enough. But, like, I really worry because I do just still have people who, like, say that they completely agree with everything except the criticisms of the gray zone, and it's just like, it's really troubling. I find it really troubling. I really hate the gray zone. I really find them to be, like, insidious little creeps. I really, like, fucking every minute of Max Blumenthal and Aaron Mate that I have had to watch in my life has shortened my lifespan by, like, an hour. They're such awful dudes. It's just it's kind of just the way that they, like, I don't know if they're deep true believers and that they're kind of like this because they're just, like, getting on with the important anti-imperialist business, fighting for that multipolar world, or, like, because it could equally be the way that they are is also just, like, paid fucking grifters. It could be either way, but they're just, like, so. It's hard for me to even put my finger on it. The way in which they're just fucking dreadful to watch. I think it's the awfulness of what they're lying about when they're lying about children having fucking chemical weapons dropped on them. I think that's what is getting to me, really, and then I want to find something to critique in the way that they're behaving. But I guess ultimately it's the fact that they're doing the awful thing that they're doing more than anything, and then, like, the fact that they are presenting it very, like, calmly, as if they're just, like, you know, just reporting the important stuff here on the Jimmy Dore show, just telling the truth that the man doesn't want you to know. I don't know. I just find it sickening. I just find it deeply sickening, and it's also, like, hard to point at because it's like George Galloway, Peter Coffin, Caleb Maupin, Jimmy Dore. These people are deeply cringe and so easy to meme on, so easy to clown on. Just, like, it's so fucking easy. The Grey Zone really have worked hard at presenting themselves as, like, legitimate journalists, something worth saying and worth listening to. They've seemingly taken on the position that they have to support non-American imperialism to impose imperialism, oblivious to how the hegemony has always mind-poisoned them into seeing imperialism as has mind-poisoned them into seeing the imperialism as the only way things can be. Yeah, absolutely. The only thing that can stop a bad guy with a political regime is a good guy with a political regime. Or just another guy, even. We no longer care whether the guy is good or not. He just has to not be the first guy. That's literally all. So frustrating. Hey, I think I'm getting these exploits down. I think I'm getting them. Gotta watch out for this camera angle now. Yes! Okay, there we go. That was pretty fucking good. I'm gonna give this one last go, and if I can do the horse jump and then the bunny hop in a row, I'm gonna call it quits, I think. Chat, your last thoughts on Caleb Maupin, the red man with a red bruised bottom. Let me know before we wrap up. Also, if you've been enjoying the stream, please consider paying for the stream. You can subscribe or cheer or donate directly using command tip. I appreciate all of that. If you have a Amazon Prime account, you can link it to your Twitch account. You can give me a subscription for absolutely nothing, and I get real money for it, which is, I think, pretty cool, is when you give me money, but you don't even have to pay any money to give me money. I think that's neat. Anyway, consider doing that. I like when I get paid for my job, and as much as I have a great, good, fun time learning how to bounce off the geometry of a tiny little rock in Shadow of the Colossus while talking about a creepy pseudo-communist cult leader, I also am doing a job right now, so I would appreciate getting paid for that job. It's cool. It's a cool time. Yeah. I'm a lawyer and She-Hulk... What? I'm a lawyer and She-Hulk, and here is where the Bolsheviks really went wrong. This Caleb Maupin fellow doesn't sound very cricket. Yeah, I mean, no, absolutely not. My final thoughts on the Morpy boy is that getting called out for mistreating people significantly younger than him is the closest he was going to get to being a communist rock star. Yeah, what's that fucking band that Jack did that video about? You know what I mean? Nat's nodding. She knows what I'm referring to. Yeah. You got an ad for She-Hulk on the stream? Oh, critical support to muscly mommies. Even if they're an imperialist stooge. Motley Crew, thank you, Andy. I refuse to allow space in my head for thoughts about Caleb Maupin. Why are you watching this stream then? You've made one of the classic blunders. I just think this might be it for Caleb Maupin. I think we might have to not. I think we might be able to not talk about Caleb Maupin anymore. I'm not giving too close of a inspection to like what the fuck Peter Coffin is up to yet. I want to always give them a chance to slink off, delete their account, log off, touch grass, and just start over a new life. Move to Alaska, Peter. That's my option. Because the info war ends when I make you delete your account, and you've seen it with Caleb Maupin. I am the Kwisatz Haderach of posts. I really like getting into like a little like manic rant where I'm like claiming responsibility for Caleb Maupin's cancellation. It's very stupid. I also just really liked at the end of the article they were like, we're really glad that like hostile political forces weren't responsible for this, and I'm like, yeah, I feel seen. Thank you very much, firstly, for saying, for shouting me out there. I love to be hostile political forces. But secondly, like, I did make you all painfully aware of like what a conspiracy theorist / cultist creep this dude is. Jesus fucking Christ. No. Sorry, my girlfriend is vaping 3 vapes all together like a harmonica of vapes off screen right now. But we don't do that on the stream because we don't want to encourage kids to have bad habits, and kids do watch me. Tell me of the waters on your homeworld, Sophie from Mars. Oh, they're good. They're chill, dude. Anyway. I'm not going to say I think. I'm going to say I sincerely hope that conspiracy on the left helped some of the people who were in the CPI, because Maupin drew attention to it. He made a whole bunch of girls rock. I agree. My girlfriends especially. What was I gonna say? I hope that being made aware of conspiracy on the left, seeing the arguments that I made in it, etc., helped some of the impressionable young people that Caleb Maupin was preying on to come around, come together, and see him for what he was. I sincerely hope that. I don't know that that's true. I do know that, like, practically everyone who has been involved in this stuff has, like, is aware of me and has, like, seen the video because of Caleb having a big tantrum about it and, like, trying to, like, dismiss it all as being imperialist lies, which is awesome. Dude's rock. But, you know, I just yeah. On Caladan, the ocean world, they needed sea and air power. On Arrakis, Dune, they needed desert power. Here on Earth, our home, we need wife power. I joke all the time about being in the info war, and I'm like, we need post power. We will have to build posting power. We will have to build meme power. Oh, Jesus. I'm so close to, like, consistently executing this horse jump now. I vaped once. I saw the future and it gave me a heart attack. Don't vape. I'm glad that this is an anti-vape space. It's very supportive of my needs, which is to quit vaping. Please stop. What was I going to say? Anyway, is drill the Fremen of posting? Drill is the Shai Hulud. I serve one master and he's called Wint. Yeah, no, I like doing a little manic rant where I'm, like, claiming responsibility for the power of my info war against Caleb Maupin. But I do want to be just completely sincere. I really hope that it was an eye-opener that helped some of the people who saw it through Caleb Maupin's tantrum reaction to it. And in case any of you ever see this, I hope you know that I am committed to fighting American imperialism. I hate that shit. I'm all about stopping that shit. I'm all about creating world communism. We may have, like, slight disagreements on the tendency or whatever, whether you want your communism smooth or chunky style. But in your future endeavors, I wish you power, luck, and solidarity. You know, that's all I can really say. We worship the coming and going of him, brackets drill. He is a maker of posts. Oh, yes, okay, I got the horse jump. Let's go around here, There's another jump in the middle of this, like another exploit that I have not even slightly begun to nail down yet, and I think I need to rewatch the world record video in order to, like, study how it was done, because genuinely it was like magic to me. Just like it was just genuinely like, how the fuck did you? But then again, like, a lot of the stuff the first time I watched that through was like that. I love learning about speedrun exploits. Also, I think I showed this if people watched the last Shadow of the Colossus speedrun stream I did. There's a Quadratus skip that I independently invented, like jumping down onto Quadratus from above, that I independently arrived at, and the world record speedrunner for it jumps from the same spot, which is really cool. However, that motherfucker jumps, lets the cutscene start playing in midair during the jump, and then skips the cutscene so fast that, like, without landing on the, like, ledge that I jumped down onto, he just falls straight onto Quadratus. And it's just, like, it's just the most fucking baller-ass shit I've honestly ever seen. I hope I can be that powerful one day. Husker, I'm afraid we're having a Peter Coffin embargo. I'm giving them mercy. I'm giving them a chance to log off and delete their account. I always do this after great victories. They have this chance. Cancel Tia for her smooth style apologia. Chunky communism greater than. Wow, looks like we've got a big chunky communism. Got a lot of chunkies in the chat right now. I didn't know that so many of my fans were chunky apologists. I don't know, what do I actually like better in peanut butter? I think I actually do like chunky. No. Damn. I'm being the insufferable centrist yet again. Hey, I just did them back to back. Okay, this fucking practicing is getting me somewhere. I'm actually gonna be able to learn to do this fucking speed run, I think. Okay, let's see who's online so I can raid him. Everyone get ready for a little raid. It's time to raid somebody. Wah. This has been fun. Thank you all for hanging out. I think I'm going to raid into Caffles, who looks like she's dealing with some really extreme shit right now. Okay, folks, we're going to raid into Caffles, who's just been doxxed again and is being followed around by Kiwi Farms. It's a really horrible situation. Love and solidarity to her. Everyone have a lovely night. I've enjoyed hanging and chatting with you and playing Shadow of the Colossus, and I'll do it again soon. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. See you, Space Cowboy. You're Borga Boy in a better place now. Eat shit, Borga Boy.